Hi, this is Mark Meir, the voice of Commander Shepard, and you're tuned in to the EnteR ChazmaN podcast, my favorite podcast on the Citadel. ChazmaN and Phoenix, let the conversations begin. To the Normandy.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the EnteR ChazmaN podcast, where, as always, this is your place to hear all of the up-to-date video game news. Well, maybe not just video game news anymore. Today we actually have a guest on our podcast. Everyone say hello to JC. Say hi, JC.
Hi, JC.
Hello.
Now we have two people climbing out of my basement, right?
Mm-hmm. I've been trapped in there for the past... How long have we been doing this? 3 months?
3 months.
You gave my own room now. It's nice.
Like it.
Just before we do get into it, I just want to say, as always, somewhere on screen I'll have where you can watch or listen to the audio version of the podcast. And I guess just before we get in, we'll just cover some of the topics for the day. So what do we got? We're going to talk about Stranger Things, and then we got Obi-Wan, Juan.
Spanish now?
Spanish Star Wars. Do we have a Hispanic in Star Wars? I don't know.
What's Oscar Isaac? Is maybe a little bit?
Maybe he counts. And then we're going to talk about Sony's State of Play that they actually just covered last night. And then I thought what sounded like it might be kind of fun is in the next, on the 12th, Microsoft is going to be having their Xbox event. Well, Mike tied to Bethesda, so we're going to just thought it might be kind of fun for us to kind of go through and talk about some predictions and what we kind of want to expect or what we might be disappointed by. So, yeah, I guess... we have a new guest on here, so I figured, JC, if you wanted to, did you want to say anything about yourself? What are your interests? What kind of stuff you into?
I did not prepare a speech. I do apologize. Mostly, I just cried and begged to sit here, and I'm grateful to be included.
You just wanted to be amongst the great podcasters. Me and
that was really my entire goal. I'm so thankful. Dream come true right now.
To be fair, a little backstory. We wanted to do this podcast 2.5 years ago before COVID hit. And we had all these plans and all this whatnot.
To actually
and
be careful.
None of that happened.
I don't know if it's still true, but YouTube, from what I understand, I don't know if they do it anymore, but for some people saying the word COVID, they would hit some of their channels. But that was back during...
you can bleep me out. They'll think I said some other explicit content. Anyway, point being... So we didn't do it when we thought we were going to do it. And then Chaz, you're like, hey, let's go ahead and just do a podcast, you and me. And we just completely ignored JC. And now she's been yelling at us for the past month. So we figured we, would bend in the knee.
Basically what I've been doing is catching up on the podcast, listening to everything, and then, just stewing about it. So
see, at least me and you are proving that we have other friends other than each other. So yeah.
I don't know that. You think I'm sitting here as a friend, but we'll see how this actually plays out.
She's a frenemy. But yeah, I guess. What do you guys say? We go right into it. I mean, I guess just ahead of the game. What do you guys think before we get into season 4? What have you guys thought about Stranger Things in general? Has it been a show that you guys have like?
Whoa! You're all out of order, Chaz. I thought we were doing what we playing first.
What's it called?
Oh,
the thing that
what you playing?
What you playing? Where's the theme music? That's what I want to know.
Every week I thought that you were supposed to be in charge of this podcast. It even says your name at the bottom.
To be
fair, what? I'm in charge of the stream now. I can go and I can erase that. Enter Phoenix Man.
I thought we were going to split up the TV versus the video game, so forgive me. I'm a bad host. So yeah, what you playing? Did you want to talk about your game first? You want me to go?
Why don't you go?
Why don't I go? All right,
it's your show.
It's my show.
It is.
It's got my name in it.
For now.
I guess just real quick, I'm gonna be super quick. It was a game that I kind of walked away very indifferent on. I got to play the game Trek to Yomi, which from what I understand, it's a game that's been out for about a month now, and I was very kind of iffy on it. I think Phoenix might kind of like the aesthetic of the game, because for me, I know Phoenix really liked the game Limbo, And aesthetically, in terms of like how it looks, to me it is very reminiscent of Limbo. It's kind of side-scrollery at points, and it's very kind of dark and depressing, similar to that. So I don't know. I got very much Limbo vibes from it the entire time. I guess I'll just go straight into it. My biggest problem with the game is I felt like throughout my entire 5-hour run of it, I felt like it was very samey, and I felt like a lot of its themes were like something that kept running through my mind the entire time I was playing the game. Or it felt very how do you say the word? Is it homage or homage? Homage. It felt very homage-y, where like it's all kind of it's very reminiscent.
It's like Kurosawa inspired, right?
Yeah, and Kurosawa-y. But yeah, it's hard to like explain the difference between like I appreciate the homageness. Is that a word? I don't know if that's a word.
It is now.
I appreciate the homageness aspect of the game, but I almost felt like to an extent it was kind of a detriment, because I just felt like it wasn't very original. Like I don't know, like that idea, Phoenix. I felt like that might be something that might interest you. Like, do you feel like sometimes a game paying homage or paying respect to something old or something that's not around, do you feel like sometimes in certain games maybe that could play a detriment as to how original a game is or how many new ideas it brings to the table? Because I felt like for me that game, Trek to Yomi, it kind of did that, because I didn't feel like the combat was particularly deep and really revolutionary in any sort of way. Like I felt like the main parts about the game that I loved were a lot of the cutscenes and the environment and kind of themes and all that. But once again, it's very much, I don't want to say cut and dry, but it was like, it's a revenge story. You have your love, or I don't want to give
kind of cliche.
Yeah, it's kind of cliche. It's like, oh, the old, I don't want to give up, spoilers for people. But yeah, it's very much, it's a revenge story. It's, for my family, Right. But I don't know, do you think a game can kind of be a detriment by using homage-y stuff too much?
I think it really depends. I mean, if that was their goal, they wanted to have a game that was very much like an homage to something, then maybe they set out to achieve what they did. But
well, it's tough because you didn't play it, so
Well, a game that... Go ahead.
Something has to be a tribute, It doesn't have to be like a complete rip-off of something. I think that's where the balance is that you're not just like creating like a Control-C, Control-V copy of something, that you are, using elements and say, I enjoyed these things and I'd like to reuse them, but not like a straight up like,
and the game,
it didn't follow any new ideas.
And the game,
well, I guess too, like another game that kind of does a similar thing, especially with like Kurosawa. Like I know you didn't play it yet, but Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah. And that one definitely had some tributes and homages that I think were very akin to that, but it was very much its own thing. So I mean, I think what you're saying, JC, is like it was a tribute, but it wasn't like copy and paste. So it sounds like this game doesn't have enough to kind of stand on its own. Like I think I've read somewhere the gameplay was just kind of meh. I mean, would you agree with that, or?
Yes, it's very, I mean, you only have really, like, you have a fast attack, a heavy attack, you have a block, and then they give you some ranged weapons. And honestly, I felt like by far the more fun things to use were the ranged weapons, which they even give you, like, almost like a shotgun at one point, but it's like I don't want to say medieval, because that's not that time frame, but it's like, a time sensitive based gun, or something around that time frame. But yeah, it just like the game kind of just goes where you'd expect it to go. I mean, I would say like the only true parts about the game that I actually really enjoyed were a couple of the boss fights, and some of them were interesting just in terms of like a couple of them were kind of ridiculous, but I don't know. It was just.
So you're not recommending it? Is that where this is going, or were the aesthetics and kind of the homaginess enough that someone who's maybe very much into Kurosawa would still appreciate this?
That's exactly my point. Is that like, yes, if you're going in looking for some, I don't want to. I hate being kind of down on it. Like, I don't want to say not original, because I do get the feeling that their intention was homage. They someone clearly loved Kurosawa and all those old school movies. It just kind of was dark and like just kind of death everywhere, and it's just I don't know. Like I like games being dour sometimes, but it just felt like that game through and through was dour. I mean, it didn't help that I also feel like I got the bad ending, which the game does have multiple endings, and somehow I got the negative one. So I felt like that didn't help when like the entire experience is like a
Well, that's just because you're
nightmare.
bad at video games.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
couldn't get through the first boss in Elden Ring. Well, you got stuck in Tunic multiple times. No, just
In
kidding.
this game, I hit a difficulty spike and I turned it down to easy. I couldn't get past a part. I'm
Oh,
I'm getting
I'm gonna
worse at
take your
games.
card away, man.
I'm getting worse at games the older I get. It's a me problem, I think.
Fair enough.
But yeah, just I think what was also more disappointing is kind of finding out that the game was developed by Devolver. I think like when you think Devolver Digital when it comes to developing games, most of the time I always think of like more bright, a lot of personality. Can be wacky and also have like lots of blood and gore. But
Was it Devolver developed or Devolver published?
ooh, I don't know. I
Yeah,
know
that's different. Like Devolver, I mean, they're a publisher. I mean, I don't know exactly what their
I could look at it real
development
quick.
arm is, but and here's the thing: publishers are going to have hopefully, a wide variety of different types of games.
Said it
So,
was it was published by Devolver, so maybe they were
bam, gotcha.
more hands off a little bit.
No, it doesn't mean that they were hands off, but like, I mean, different studios are going to have their own take, their own style of creating a game. So it may not be in line with all the other Devolver games you played, but that's the nature of publisher. Not every Activision game is exactly the same. Not every EA game is exactly the same.
Can you
So
get the screen up? I was playing the B-roll. I don't see it up.
yeah, I'll throw it up.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You got to switch to it. Okay. But yeah, like I said, it was just I don't know. It was fun. I will say like it definitely the 5 hour runtime for me was like just at the point where I'm like, all right, I kind of get it. I'm ready to be done with this game. I definitely feel like after the first hour and a half, I was like, I gotcha. I get your kind of art style and everything. I will say like one of the cool thing is because it's so homage like some of the camera angles and stuff are like really cool because it's like the camera doesn't like it's not like set on you. It's more placed somewhere in the world and like kind of you move around and the camera doesn't move, so it definitely feels like there's like a picturesque backdrop as you're like doing things, and it is cool. Like I definitely think the one good thing is like because of the game is so short, it's hard to say it's not worth the playthrough. Like maybe if the game went on for like 40 more hours, but like if it's 5 hours, I would definitely say try it out if you're interested at all. It's
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like I'm looking at it. I've seen previews of it before, and I would play this for 5 hours, even if it was just a direct rip off or
yeah.
homage to. I think it depends on what kind of mood you're in to play a game. If you're a big fan of Kurosawa, like you could either go watch a Kurosawa flick, or you could play this and get it would be a new experience or a new way to interact with something that's within that realm of that genre or that style that you like. So I don't know. I haven't played it, so I don't know. I very much like Ghost of Tsushima, so just that theming I'm a fan of. So I'm actually, I don't know. What's a good way to say this? I am enthused to play it at some point.
I definitely think you should. And once again, like
I just don't listen to you anyway, so whatever your recommendation is, I just do the opposite.
again, it's hard to for a game this short, I would never say it's not worth your time. Try it out if you don't like it, whatever. But like,
But not worth a buy.
well, yeah, I think it's worth the buy. I mean,
Played it on Game Pass,
I
didn't
played
you?
on Game Pass, so I didn't.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean,
If you're on Game Pass, it's not like you really lost anything.
yeah, it's. I think it was kind of surprising to see it come to Xbox because it was one of those titles where for the longest time it was pushed as like a PlayStation 5 game, and then like right when it came out it was like nope, it's for everything. And I don't know. I think it's mainly just because it got shown at like a bunch of PlayStation oriented events.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they just got a marketing
Yeah.
deal with them where that's where they would advertise it.
But yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, I guess that's all I got. I mean, once again, if you like Kurosawa, if you like these type of games, like the game definitely has some like really cool aesthetics, and it's cool if you just like that type of thing. I definitely think you could have some enjoyment out of it.
What about you, JC? Are you gonna play this game?
No. I'm gonna
This
watch
was the chance
someone
for your
play
gimmick.
it. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, I'm ready. Am I going to play this game? Although I could actually answer this one.
Someday.
Outlook good. Outlook good.
Oh,
No.
okay.
Probably
You're
not.
debunking the 8 ball already? Oh, no.
But this one I have a true opinion on. I would watch someone play this because it is picturesque. I don't think I would personally go for this one though.
Yeah.
So, Chazzy-kun, I'm gonna watch you play it.
Have you finished your live stream of it already? Are you done?
Mm-hmm. I'm done with it.
All right.
Again, I just think like I got the bad ending and a couple of the decisions I made. I didn't think the decisions I made were that evil, but somehow I got a bad ending.
Bad evil. I only murdered half the city, and some of the women and children.
No,
Hey, Anakin Skywalker.
No, some of the listen.
Got some younglings.
All I killed was some of the students. No, some of the decisions were definitely like, it's just like, what is your reason for continuing on? And it was like one of the main things was like, are you continuing on for love, for duty, or for yourself? And I was just like,
for me.
and then
For the master.
for the master. And it's just like the end of the game is like, you lose. And I'm just like, oh.
Oh, so you learned nothing about yourself or any higher levels of morality
I just
throughout
learned
this game.
I didn't like the game. I didn't learn anything about myself.
All right, well,
You
good
did.
for you.
I guess one other thing, if you really like people screaming in agony, like, this is your
Oh,
game.
yeah.
Because, like, literally everything you're doing, there's always someone in the background that's like, I don't know. That's a large part of this game is like...
That's already like the soundtrack to my life, so right up my alley.
But I guess that's it. What have you guys been... I know you guys have started playing something new recently.
Okay. This is mine. This one's mine. This one's mine.
All yours.
Okay, so like the background, where did I start? Diablo 2, way back in like the family computer room with the big monitor. So Diablo, this is totally my game. Started way back when. Anyway, so Diablo 3, when that came out, like I bought it on every platform available because I wanted to play it on every system with all my different friends that had different systems. Now Diablo Immortal. All right. So
You played it so much that it wasn't even fun when I would join you, because like you would just
That's because
annihilate
she cheated.
everything.
No, she hacked all of her characters, so she had like ultimate points.
No, I didn't hack them. No, it's
You're
a
talking to the
lie.
person who went on a Animal Crossing vacation through an eBay transaction.
I called it an excursion.
Excursion.
An Animal
Just so
Crossing
everybody knows
excursion.
who we're dealing with here.
I'm not above a little bit of cheating, but no, I did not. I didn't cheat.
You bought
But
some,
maybe I
you bought
did.
some kid
Maybe I
overseas'
did.
world that he had like completed. You got his saved file for $50.
Not Diablo. Anyway, Diablo 3 was like my bread and butter. I actually still pull it out like on the Switch and play the seasons. Like that's how much this is just my game. I like it. It's like
Didn't you get
complete zone out.
you got the Diablo like Switch, didn't you? You have like the
I
themed
do
one?
have, yes, I have that fancy Diablo
like
Switch.
all white?
Indeed, I do. No, it's not. It's got like a cool thing on the back. Man, should we pause? Do you want to go grab it? Like,
No.
anyway, it's
why you have
beautiful.
to?
It is beautiful. So Diablo 3, I love this thing. I play it now. Diablo Immortal. It essentially looks like Diablo 3, but it runs very nicely on your mobile. I like playing it on my phone. It's actually kind of fun. They reused a lot of the same things, like, it basically looks the same, but it's fun for me to see them again. Like the spider creatures are called toxic lurkers, so I was like, I relate to that. I might be a toxic lurker just a little bit. But I'm loving it. Like, I have not played it a ton. It just came out. But I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's great. Like,
I'll have
lunch
to-
hour.
I'll have to figure out when you guys are playing, because I don't want to play on my phone, but I would love to play on the PC. I just
Okay.
I just don't play phone games. It's just it's not a
Kind of the same, but I was very surprised as how well it did play on
Really?
the phone.
That's
I was
good.
really worried about the controls. Not that Diablo is incredibly control intensive. Like a lot of it is you click, you drag, kind of do that kind of thing. The general navigation, the movement was pretty well. Even like how they handle stuff like, portaling out of the town, like this little icon will pop up when you need it. So it was really contextual. That was kind of nice. And I mean, if you've played Diablo 3 and you like Diablo 3, you're going to like this. It's pretty much, they use a lot of the same assets, it looks like, same art style, all of that, which I like the cartoony Diablo 3 art style. I know a lot of people are very much about the, doom and gloom, super dark, like Diablo 2 art style, but I don't know, I like 3.
I tried to play that Diablo 2 remaster or whatever, because I went out and bought it for
Resurrected.
the Switch. And for some reason it didn't click with me. Like, I kind of was wanting more of the Diablo 3 kind of cartoonish style, and like you said, I know that's not the one most people prefer, but I don't know.
4 is going like super dark and gory.
Yeah.
So.
Yes. If we'll ever see that one, probably going to be like another 20 years.
So I guess you could say you guys...
It's owned by Microsoft now. Whoa, think about that.
So I guess you guys,
buddy.
you guys prove them wrong, and you do have phones.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
Okay. But it's funny because they backpedaled, and now they're releasing it on PC, which I think was the right move. They can't really go wrong here because they just open themselves up to more people to play. Mobile market is huge, so it's good to have that. But people still want to play on PC.
There was that guy asking the question at that event that was like, "Is there any chance of this thing possibly coming to PC?" Which I don't know.
I think back to the time too. Like, how long ago was that announcement now? Like,
that was like 2017, 2016.
Yeah.
Like, mobile games even back then were not what they are now. So people are thinking, oh, it's gonna be this, stripped down, like super, loot boxy experience. It's not gonna run well, or there were like lower expectations based upon the games that are on the market at the time. So games have come so much further in the mobile space since then. So nowadays it's a whole different thing.
Sorry, I'm getting caught up watching the B-roll of it.
Yeah. So, I do play more mobile games now because it just ends up being, fitting better into my life. What I will say is that I was a little bit like, what? When, I got in there, it's like, buy this battle chest for 99 cents. I was like, ooh, I am not used to that in my Diablo. So that was kind of like I didn't really like that, but... over everything else in the game, I dig it. I like it.
They got I'm
a big Diablo fan.
They got a bunch of... I remember the backlash for the whole, like you were
Real
saying,
Money House.
Real Money
House.
Yeah.
That was like
really this is not out of their wheelhouse. I mean, Blizzard's done stuff like this, consistently before.
And it wasn't just that, but didn't Diablo 3 have people couldn't even play the game for the first month?
Oh, it had really, heavy DRM on it. And granted, that's something we're seeing pop up, not just with Diablo, but a bunch of games. But yeah, that was one of the first big instances where there was an always online game. People were like, well, what if I don't want to play it online? Because technically there's a big single player component. I think we're going to be struggling with that for a while.
So would you say someone who liked Diablo 3 so far of what you played would like this one? It's definitely more along those lines.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I played probably farther than Phoenix.
Oh yeah, I've just got out of what's the first town? Wormland.
Wortham. Yeah.
And is it good.
They reuse the blacksmith or one of the blacksmiths is from 2. It was fun to see those names pop up. That stuff is just I enjoy it because I'm like, oh, I remember that character from this thing, and yeah, definitely enjoy it. So if you have any. Yes.
It's canon, so it's...
Well, okay, wait, hold on. Let me back up, because in Diablo 3, Deckard Cain, kicked it, but he's hanging out. He's hanging out.
Well, who says this is after Diablo 3, though? This could be a prequel to that.
Could it be that?
I don't see why this isn't canon. That hasn't been alluded to.
Maybe that's okay. Well, I'm just saying.
It happened a week before the Nephilim popped up in Diablo 3.
Maybe that's correct. Yes.
I guess it doesn't need. It just needs demons.
I don't know. All I did was play it. I didn't read the story behind it. And mostly, I'm clicking through because I'm gonna go kill stuff.
You're supposed to be the Diablo lore master, so I'm disappointed.
I'll be more prepared next time. I didn't know I was the master.
Well, anyways, I'm definitely interested. I would definitely prefer PC. So if you guys decide to do a PC run, definitely let me know, and I'll cover it on the channel.
Woo!
Was there anything else you guys had to say? It doesn't sound like you've gotten very far as true in-depth.
I've only played for an hour. I had to go to the bathroom, so I decided I'd play it. So
That's a long time in the bathroom. You had to spend an hour.
I was hiding from my daughter. Okay.
All right, so I guess we'll just go ahead and move on. So did you guys want to talk about Obi-Wan first or Stranger Things?
Obi-Wan. Man, I really want to see that canon now. Obi-Wan, a whole different spin-off.
Obi-Wan. I got that joke from Angry Joe. That's been a thing for them for a while.
Yeah, we can go into Obi-Wan.
I think Obi-Wan would be much shorter. I mean, there's only two episodes out so far.
Three.
Well,
we haven't watched.
We haven't watched as of this episode. I haven't watched the third one. We'll definitely talk about 3 on the next one. Maybe 4. I don't know when we'll get to record. I guess just what did you guys think so far? The first 2 episodes. I'll let you go ahead.
I guess I'll go. I don't have a whole lot to say. I mean, I've liked it. Like the first episode is just real slow, but I think for good reason. Like it's been a while since we've seen Obi-Wan, especially Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan, which I'll tell you, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about the prequels, but one of the few things I liked consistently through all of them was Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan. Like I was up and down on Christensen and all that, but Obi-Wan or Hayden, not Hayden, I'm sorry, Ewan, I was a fan of. But it was nice to see him just take their time, kind of set up the characters, kind of get reacquainted with where he's at. Like it doesn't happen, immediately after 3. There's been a few years where Luke's been growing up and Leia's off, doing her thing. So you kind of got to see just the toll that just living life as a hermit's kind of taking on Obi-Wan, which is nice. I'm trying to think of anything else in particular. That first episode just was setting up or laying the groundwork for it. 2 definitely was a little more actiony. And I like kind of, where they're going with it on that. What kind of planet is it? Is it like a, I don't know, smuggling planet or something?
Did I write in my notes? I don't think I actually wrote it in my notes now.
No, it's not super
it's
important.
not
But
super
I like that they're moving around. Like they're not all just stuck on Tatooine. Actually, when I first heard about this, I'm thinking, well, that's what it's going to be. He's just stuck on Tatooine and, you're going to interact with people there. So it's nice that he's, going on a vacation, a little field trip. And it shifts the tone a lot as he moves through. So it's nice to kind of see him, pick up the lightsaber again, start getting actiony and all that fun stuff.
It was definitely cool getting to see like Organa and all them back, and even getting to see the one stormtrooper. What was his the one clone, kind of sitting there as a beggar, just like asking for change. I was hoping so bad he would like look at Ewan and be like almost recognize him, but he just kind of didn't. Although I guess it would be ridiculous to expect every clone to know what Obi-Wan looked like, so I don't know.
Well, Obi-Wan's apparently a pretty famous Jedi. I mean, he's pretty sought after apparently. So, I don't know if you were getting this feel at all, but one of the first things when like you were here, like seeing grumpy Obi-Wan at the beginning, was I was getting parallels to Old Man Luke from the new trilogy, and just kind of, I mean it's different, but I know we have our own opinions on how they handle Luke in the new series, and like if you're gonna go this route of kind of old disgruntled Jedi who's kind of ambivalent to things, I like the way they're handling Obi-Wan's track of doing that as opposed to how they did Luke in the actual movies.
Yeah, I mean it is an interesting comparison. I mean, I would just say like it's less like something I appreciate about how they're handling it is it's definitely less jokey. They definitely handled Luke's kind of hermit, running away to a planet. It felt like it was kind of constantly a
played
joke.
It for laughs sometimes.
It was laughs with him throwing the saber and drinking the
milk,
the alien milk, and
which I will say, if you ever make your way to the Star Wars attractions at Disney, that blue milk's actually really delicious. So Luke might have been onto something.
Do I get to actually milk the alien? No, I'm kidding.
You gotta pay extra
pay
for
a little
it.
extra. Yeah, pay.
Mickey Puff's like,
$35
extra.
I was joking. No,
I'm not.
But yeah, like I said, it just felt like it was constantly played for jokes, and it definitely seemed as though Rian Johnson, when he made that, like again, if everyone's always said it, but he was like just constantly trying to subvert expectations, and he would throw in jokes when they were serious moments, and then throw in serious moments for things that's supposed to be jokes, and it just constantly felt like he was trying to throw things on their head, and I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of my point. Like, it didn't feel like the right track for Luke, and especially the way they did it, but it feels right for Obi-Wan and the way they're handling it. So, just thought it was an interesting kind of comparison.
Yeah. Were there any other, like, I mean, I would just say, just like right from the beginning, just, I don't know if we skipped it, but like, I actually really love the recap, and I know that, you know, again, you mentioned it for like people who may not have liked the prequels. I like the prequels to an extent. I mean, I don't absolutely love them. I guess I'll throw it out there. In my opinion, the only true Star Wars were 3 movies that were made in the late 70s and early 80s. That's my personal opinion of, like, the best Star Wars. But sorry, what were you going to say?
No, I was... never mind. You keep talking.
You threw your finger up. I thought you were like, excuse me.
I'm sorry. I thought you were going to talk about which one of the prequels you actually liked, and I was about Episode 1. That was the one that I actually enjoyed the most.
I think all of them are deeply flawed. I would say the most enjoyable one for me is 1, but I think it's just because I saw 1 at a super young age, and the whole pod racing scene when you're like a little 10-year-old, like, seemed really freaking cool. Watching all
and Darth Maul, man, like, he's still one of the best villains in the whole saga.
Yeah, he's a really cool toad guy as well. What is it?
But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just wanted to kind of go through. I guess I'll mention it. Like, we don't have to go too deep on it, but I guess one of the biggest things that is a major talking point. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but apparently the actor that plays Reva, one of the Inquisitors, apparently she's been receiving, some negative feedback. I mean, apparently people have been pretty mean to her online. I kind of wanted to just bring it up just for on my part to say I didn't think she was that bad or good. I mean, I just didn't think it was anything. Her acting or any of her scenes were worthy of like any sort of.
Have we even seen enough of her?
It's been 2 episodes.
Seriously. Yeah.
I just didn't think there was enough there for like any sort of hate or dislike. It's just like you said, we're 2 episodes in. It's like, how much could you possibly dislike?
I don't think anything she's done has been terrible. Like, they're setting her up. Like, she's been fine so far. As I'm not going to give her an Oscar yet, but there's nothing that's been just flat out, man, that's the worst performance I've seen or anything like that. Like, people aren't giving her a chance, and I'm sure there's some biases built into that, unfortunately. But I don't know. I think what she's done so far has been fine, and I'm definitely willing to kind of see what she does with her character moving forward.
Apparently, it was so bad, Ewan McGregor had to
I saw that.
Felt obligated to put out a message and say, listen, she's been a good actor. Like, I don't know what she's not, doesn't need any of this. I don't know.
Well, it sounds like, and I haven't looked into all of it, but it means people being hateful about it, which is the important thing. Like, if you have a critique, you can, say your critique, that's fair, but you should never attack somebody. Never attack the person behind it either. Like, even if you don't like the character or the direction they've taken it, like, that's not the actor's fault. I mean, they're doing a job, right? So it's not their fault for being hired on and taking an opportunity. I mean, I don't know. It's just crappy that people are going that direction.
Yeah. I guess that was kind of one thing, and I guess another thing is I don't think a lot of people liked little kid Leia, which I didn't. I thought it was kind of corny at first, but like it's like, dude, it's Princess Leia. Like, whatever, she's a kid. I don't know. People didn't kind of, I guess, like some of her scenes or something. I did think it was a little weird how she was, as like a 3-year-old, able to like outrun like fully grown.
Have you ever chased a 3-year-old before? Okay.
She's not 3 in
she's
that,
probably
but
like 5 or 6 or something. But yeah.
I think she comes across older than that.
Really?
But regardless, I mean, she's a kid actor, so I mean, there's gonna be a little bit of cringe no matter what. But I didn't have an issue with that. The only thing I did take issue with, and this is the one thing I'm not sure if they're like retconning or if they didn't catch or it's a mistake. I don't know if you caught it. So go back to the original trilogy, A New Hope, and the Leia message that she sends to Obi-Wan. Like, the way it's directed is, hey, you used to know my father back in the Clone Wars. There's never any acknowledgement of, hey, remember that time you came and rescued me when I was 8 years old? Like, it was a direct message to Obi-Wan relating, to him, or I'm sorry, him helping them out with no recollection they've ever met. And now you have them running around together. And I know it's under the premise of, oh, his name's Ben. But you have, the Inquisitor shouting Obi-Wan Kenobi behind him. So unless
Jedi,
this girl's deaf...
Maybe they mind wipe her or something at the end of the
season. Well, I wonder if they're going to have some crappy kind of way to, rewrite it. But, I mean, right off the bat, that's just... Say it was Disney. continuity in Disney is not, necessarily the best the way they've kind of handled their track record. So I don't have a lot of faith that this was, something they're going to fix or, correct. It seems like an error or at least an oversight. They didn't catch that unless I'm missing something, which is completely possible. But to me, it sounds like, if I was a kid who got rescued by a Jedi named Obi-Wan when I was 10, I'm not going to forget that 10 years down the line when I send off this message. So I don't know. I'm a nerd though.
Maybe they should have made her younger. That way, it's more feasible for her to forget something. Like maybe if she was like a newborn running away from those guys in the woods.
I mean,
have you ever been around a child before?
My daughter never forgets, and she will let me know it. But anyway, that was my biggest critique. Is just continuity wise, that threw me off a bit. But I will say, I did like seeing Flea. That was fun.
I loved seeing Flea. Like, right when I saw Flea, I was like, Flea! It's definitely interesting. And it's so funny to kind of see, like, I know Star Trek was like this way back in the 80s and 90s, where, like, the shows and movies get so big that, like, or people just, like, become fans and they're just like, I want in on that. Like, I know, like, Iggy Pop was in on Star Trek episodes, and there's so many stories of all these other actors that are like, dress me up as an alien, throw me in there, I want to be a part of it. You know what I mean? So it is cool to see Flea get in, and there was somebody else in on this episode. I don't remember who. Oh, I'm not going to try and remember it. But I guess I will say, like, what did you guys think of? We're doing spoilers, right? I mean, I guess we've kind of already been.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
I should have done that. Should have done that already. I just saw who else? Kumail Nanjiani. It was you could tell he was just like, I want to be a part of Star Wars too. I actually kind of liked his character too.
It was funny. I mean,
it was jarring.
To your point,
first.
it was pretty jokey, like you were saying earlier. Like so I like it sometimes they take it a little more seriously, but it was a fun moment to see him be a fake Jedi. So.
And what did you guys think of the Grand Inquisitor? That was a spoiler I didn't want to bring up. What did you think of the Grand Inquisitor being killed off so early?
I was not expecting. I don't know a lot about the Grand Inquisitor. I mean, I know he was in like the Clone Wars series.
Lore, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know exactly where he fits into everything. So I was kind of surprised to see him bite the dust so soon. But like fine. I don't have any ties to that character. So
yeah. Anything else? Oh, I actually really love the Velociraptor species. One of the bounty hunters, the Velociraptor that was like chasing him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting little thing. I guess just one other thing for me is, did you guys feel like any of the callbacks or returning characters, did you feel like anything was forced or anything stood out? Or did you feel like everything kind of flowed and, I don't know, didn't feel out of place in any way?
When you say returning characters, I mean, the only ones I can really think of, you have like,
I meant callbacks.
The Organas.
Just like core callback. Yeah, anything from, because I know sometimes with some of these Star Wars stuff, like sometimes they'll throw in something that for me is just like, why is this here? You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to know any more about this,
No, I didn't feel like anything was overly forced.
Yeah, no, I thought it was immersive. I was into it.
Cool.
I liked the sneaky Jawa at the beginning who broke his AC and tried to sell his parts back to him.
Houdini!
Yeah.
I like that.
But I guess, so, I mean, I guess we'll definitely talk about episode 3. I mean, was there anything else major that we're missing? I mean, I'm sure there's a couple things. We got our major points.
There's not a lot in these 2 episodes. Like, I'm very interested. I mean, I definitely want to see how they bring Vader into it and Hayden Christensen. So, I mean, that hook's going to pull me through, I think, quite a bit, regardless of, any ups and downs the show has. But right now, the show's just been fine. It hasn't been spectacular yet. It hasn't been bad. It's just, it's been safe, but maybe that's what it needed to be to kind of get people in.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, JC.
What's that?
No, I thought you looked like you were going to say something.
Yeah. I just wanted to talk a little bit about, like, I feel like they did it with care. I mean, I know you got a retcon issue that you pointed out right out the bat, but it felt like they really had care with it because the first episode was slow. They took all this time to set the tone that it was this, like, desolate place and that everybody hates Obi-Wan, everyone they has in contact with, which he has very little contact. And I wonder if it almost speaks to like the age of the people who watched the first ones and are maybe older now watching this and putting themselves in that kind of shoes. Like, when life beats you down so far, it's like you either like die, You either turn it around or you like exist and carry on. And he's like in that exist, carry on. I'm like, oh my God, I feel that. Like, they took a lot of time with that. I really liked the contrast in the second episode where it's like all the bounty hunters are chasing him and he's got his charlatan Jedi being like, you know, lending him a hand and getting him off the planet. Like, you know, whereas he was in this place where they all hated him, like, and now a complete stranger who doesn't know a thing about him is like, all right.
Since you bring it up, that I will say that was my only like scene that I actually like didn't like. And don't get me wrong, I guess thinking about it's not as bad, but the whole scene where Kid Leia is running away from him, I felt like it was a bit cringy, but there are people online who have come out and said, listen, I mean, if you know Leia from the original, she was feisty and was annoying.
She's precocious.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is very on character. I still thought it was a little odd in a way, but I mean, it at least made...
Well, I think you're a kid who just got kidnapped, and you don't know who this guy is. I mean, I'd run away too. I mean, especially if he's being a little, you know, shaky on who he is. Yeah, like,
Stranger
I don't know, that'll seem natural enough. I mean, it's frustrating to you. It's frustrating to you as the audience member because you're like, oh, come on, just hang out with him so the story can progress. But, you know, I think it's a natural, you know, behavior for her to have.
And all she asked was for a little bit of proof. All she wanted was the float, okay? Is that so much to ask?
I guess. So how much and how quickly do you think we're going to get good old Hayden? Do you think they're right in episode 3? Do you think hopefully soon? How much do you want to see of Darth Vader?
I mean, I don't know how many episodes they slotted this for. I think they would tease him a little more next time. I don't think we'll see any kind of big interactions or reveal till the following episode, but, you know, I could be wrong.
No.
I don't know. They killed off the Grand Inquisitor very unexpectedly. We don't know what they're going to do quickly.
I would hope they don't, you know, jump the shark, if you will, too soon. Like, that's the big moment everybody's waiting for. Think back, like, I know we're, you know, backtracking, but the Halo TV show, the one thing they kind of could have held on to kind of sucker people in was not revealing his face, and they revealed it immediately. And for me, that just lost a whole lot of intrigue and mystery.
JC get to watch any of that?
She watched like the first episode.
So.
But, you know, I'm not into the Halo lore like you guys are, so I was like, ooh, bloody action, yeah.
Well, to be honest, that show, the bloody action, you know, lacking wasn't the problem. We won't go too deep on it. That show had...
Yeah, and I'm not trying to, you know,
you didn't want to talk about it anymore.
No,
I was only saying that because that was an example of a show that kind of played their hand really, really fast, and I don't think that helped them. So I would hope that this show takes it slow, does some character building, teases Vader a little bit. That way, you know, it's a bigger moment when it does happen. Like, if he pops up, you know, in episode 3, and there's still, like, 8 more episodes after that, I don't know. I feel like that's going to either drag it out or not have anything to really look forward to. Because I said that's the thing, the hook that's pulling me along right now is I want to see Vader. Hold off a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And, like, we want to see Obi-Wan struggle a little bit with it because he just now, in this last episode, figured out that he's still alive. Like, we haven't even seen him, like, have his inner turmoil over it yet. Like, you know, we need to see some struggle, all right?
And I like the whole struggle of him trying to, you know, deal with Leia and Luke while he has the pain of what happened with little Annie hovering above his head, like that, yeah, like that whole, that's like a really interesting story, you know. I'm trying to remember, like, how did, like, opposed to the story of Luke, of why Luke didn't like Rey, or not Rey, what was his name? What was his Padawan? Who's the main villain of the sequel? What's the name?
I mean, it was Kylo Ren, but his name was Ben.
Man, my brain did not work.
Like, as to why he has trouble teaching that kid, where as opposed to that was just because of a dream. I don't know. I just thought it was. I just feel like Obi-Wan definitely has more. Like, he actually has a reason to be like, whoa, you know, I can't go through it again. You know what I mean? Like,
Man.
Yeah, but that's the whole reason he's hanging out there, is to be like, if he shows potential, then he'll be there.
I was surprised too that he really didn't care at all about Leia initially when he was, approached to go and save her. He's like, no, I just care about the boy. I mean, I'm like, man, that's cold.
I know.
Especially because in this world, it's not like, men are any more force sensitive than women, to my knowledge. I mean, you got plenty of Jedis and Master Jedis that are women, so why would he just assume that Luke is going to be the best one? And funny thing, I read this recently. I wasn't real big on like the old extended canon before Disney took over, but I think the original plan, if they did like a trilogy after the original trilogy, if they did like a new trilogy before Disney bought them, it was going to end with Leia being the actual balance to the Force. So she was going to be kind of the big wig to everything. So
I would have preferred that to Rey. I mean,
I think most people would. But anyways. All right, we should probably wrap this up because we've been talking again too long.
I'm doing a bad job of.
I'll just bring up.
So for those who are listening, JC was getting on about how long we take and we drone on, etc., 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 and now she has just taken part in this droning. So welcome to the team.
I can't even get a word in. You guys are so like. However,
Star Wars. We gotta talk about Star Wars. All right. Any last comments before we shift gears?
No.
I'm excited.
I was just gonna bring up. I saw a really funny meme that showed Organa on his knee telling Leia about how important and how much she's gonna be able to do, and like right when it ends, all you see is the laser beam hitting Alderaan. I don't know. I thought it was. He's like, "You're gonna do so much, Leia," and then it's like. I thought it was funny.
Oh, no. Ooh, that's cold. That's cold right there.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. All right, so that's kind of wraps up our thoughts. Like I said, we're definitely going to talk about it next podcast. We'll go into episode 3, see how kind of crazy it is. I know everyone is talking about that right now, but let's move on to another show that launched on almost the exact same day. We'll move on to Stranger Things season 4. As I mentioned before, just before we get into it, what have you guys thought about seasons 1 through 3 so far? Have you guys liked it, not liked it, like specific seasons more than the others?
JC.
Oh, okay. 1 had me so good. 2, I don't even remember who the villain was. And 3, I can't remember any of the story, but just what the villain was.
1 was the Demigorgon. 2 was the big one that could turn into water or puddles or something, and it would like travel around.
And then, I don't remember.
Yeah, it was like a big giant one that was like.
We're talking about the Mind Flayer, right?
No, the Mind Flayer was 3.
Well, I feel the Mind Flayer is part of 2.
The Mind Flayer is the ultimate baddie of everything.
Well, I don't know if that's true now.
No, it is. The Mind Flayer is the ultimate. I think, from what I understand, it's the ultimate baddie.
Well, that's what they alluded to in Dustin's theory in 4, but I don't know if that's true. I mean, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but I mean, I don't remember the puddle monster. I mean, you might be right. 2 is like the biggest blank spot for me. All I remember is Sean Astin, and he went too soon. That's about it.
He deserved better!
What was his name? Bob? I think his name was Bob.
I think it was Bob.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
Anyway, so that was it for me. Is I was like in it for 1, and then I watched 2, and I was like, okay, and then I watched 3, and I was like, okay, and then 4 came out, and I was just like, I don't even really know if I want to watch this or not. Like, that was my expectation going into it. But I'll leave my thought. Do you want my thoughts now?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. You want? Oh my God, it got me so good. Like
I agree. I think my opinion are the same as yours. 1 was great, 2 was bad, 3 was better, and then I agree this one's much better. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah,
I don't know if I say 2 was bad. It may be forgettable. But granted, it's been how many years now since 2? So
yes, I think that was it too. It's like the length of time in between when we're getting the seasons. It's like going, oh yeah, that show. I remember I liked it previously.
Phoenix
just the redemption of Steve.
Phoenix just
that was like the subtitle for season 2.
You just got to be the voice of reason to try and defend something when I say it's bad.
I'm devil's advocate.
Every time.
Opposite of everything you say.
Always.
That's why I'm here.
But yes.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, no, it got me really good. I think you probably have more organized thoughts on it. I'm kind of all over the place. So do you want to go and then I'll just interject where I have a thing?
Oh, sure. I mean, I guess I'll just say, like, as far as the entire season went, I feel like this season started off incredibly slow. I thought it was going to be similar to the past few, where I wasn't going to love it. And then definitely, I'd say around maybe episodes like 4, maybe 3 or 4 is definitely where I feel like it starts to spike. I would just say, like, I feel like every plot I actually really liked. I would say, like, the only plot that I don't really like so far, I would say, is the whole Russian thing. What do you guys think about that stuff? I feel like that's the only part about this season where I'm like, what does this really have to do with it?
This was my biggest critique about the whole thing. Like, I mean, I've liked where the show's gone, but
forgive me
by
for
the time
all of us
you
agreeing on one. Everyone wants
by
to
the
hear us
time
argue.
you get into, like, you know, the third episode, there's 5 different plots happening. I mean, I understand that you have to have an A and a B line, but there's a C, D, and E line here too.
I
Like,
have that in
I
my
think I
notes.
counted out.
Yeah.
You've got Hopper in prison. You've got Joyce and Murray trying to get Hopper out of prison. You've got Elle and the doctors. You've got Mike, Will, and the Stoner Gang. And then you've got everyone else in Hawkins. Like, there's 5 stories to track here. And I know they, you know, cross paths and intermingle at certain points, but for one, that's just too much to me. Like,
All
it's
of
a
those
lot
are
to track.
fine, but I feel like the one Russia-Alaska thing just, like, it sticks out like a sore thumb compared to
I
all
mean, it
those other
does,
ones.
but I have not really had a whole lot of fun with the Mike, Will, and Stoner crew. Like, what have
Yeah,
they
no.
done? I
I
mean, there
guess.
was it. Like, they were just kind of spinning their wheels. They have their whole little side thing trying to get Dustin's girlfriend, her crazy family. Like, that's the hokey storyline to me. Like, everything they do is
Hmm.
almost comedic. You know, comedic. What am I thinking of? Whatever.
Like
Um,
slapstick.
I will say
yeah. I mean,
by now, or good, sorry.
no, no. What are you saying?
So by now, I will say that this show, like, it definitely is, like, definitely sticks out that it's incredibly tropey, and it's almost like just over the top sometimes. And I get why. There's the whole purpose of the show is to be
It's an homage.
It's homage.
Very homage.
Homage. And I get it. Like, that's why there's, like, actors from other movies that are involved. That's why all this music from that time frame. It is, like, just an absolute rush of nostalgia. Like, that's what the show is, and I like that. But, like,
I feel like they play into it a little too much, and a
it's
little too
similar to
hard.
that to Trek to Yomi, where, like, rounding the bases like that. Like, it just feels like sometimes it's a bit much, even though, like, I appreciate seeing the Tron Legacy, seeing the original Tron posters, and, like, yes, I like, all that stuff. I just mean sometimes it's a little, like, nostalgia overload. You know,
On the nose.
yeah.
I haven't felt that way. Not necessarily. I mean, there have been a few hokey moments, but overall, that really doesn't take me out of it too much. The, you know, slow plot lines certainly have, though. JC, you were going to say something. I saw it.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. Basically, I have like a likes and a I didn't like kind
Go
of
ahead,
thing
just
for it.
rattle them off.
Yeah? Yeah. Okay. So, so this is kind of fun. I loved that they did an homage or maybe a callback to the satanic panic of the 80s where like everybody's up in arms about like, in real life, everybody's up in arms about D&D.
I didn't
Yes,
even
and they
realize
like
that. Oh, yeah.
yeah, that's the whole, premise where they're all ready to like burn, the dungeon master at the stake because they're like, oh, it was a satanic ritual, and
All because their name is just Hellfire or whatever.
yes,
Well,
and
Dungeons
like
and Dragons during that time,
they
just, you know.
blamed everything on that. Like every murder was like satanic ritual, or real serial killers are like, oh, the devil made me do it. It was a
They-
whole.
They
It
do
was
it.
Nowadays,
called-
video games
I
is
was
the
just gonna
problem.
say they do it now.
Yes, but I like that it was true to the era, and I like that they brought it in. I thought that was fun.
I loved the
I know
freaking
it-
cameo of or sorry, go ahead. I was gonna.
No, go ahead. No, finish.
I loved seeing freaking what's his name? I have his name here.
Freddy Krueger.
Robert Englund. Getting to
Yeah.
see Robert Englund, it was like, yes.
I didn't realize that was him at first.
I knew it was him right when I saw him. I was like, oh, sweet, Robert's in here. It's so cool. But sorry, go ahead.
I liked how all the scenes for this are like the horror scenes are set in like the reds and things like that. I like that warm tone that they really used like the color and the visuals to kind of set the tone. I thought that worked really well.
What did you think of that first death of Chrissy? Seeing it for the first time, I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!"
Yes, it was very cool. I mean, you know, for someone who likes that. Man,
it's weird.
Is that weird to say? Like, I thought the murder was cool.
You're the problem. You liking this kind of stuff.
It's weird though, because like that kill was just so graphic. And like it's one of those things that like I'm horrified to see every time, but I am waiting for the next one to happen too. Like I don't know, it's just.
You're horrified, but you want more.
Exactly, yes. The eyes, man, that's what gets me.
Yes, that little cherry on the top.
It wasn't the eyes for me. It was seeing the arms go the opposite direction. The arms going, the legs going the opposite direction. I was like, ooh, ow.
Yeah, but like
Oy, my back.
So, you know, those like cool, like horror-y kind of scenes, you know, that was really fun. And as soon as it happened, I was like, this right here, this is, I'm for this. That action sequence when they stormed their California house, when like, you know, the agents are in there and they're
yes. That was a cool scene.
So yeah, so the whole time, you know, they make the call for the pizza. They're setting it up to be this like comedic, tropey kind of like, ooh, we're gonna escape. You know,
was it all one shot too? I don't think it cut.
It looked like it.
It didn't cut at all.
And you were like stealing it.
Oh, sorry.
No, but yes. So they'd set it up to be this tropey thing, and then it was a nice like twist that it went the other direction. And yes, I do believe it was all in one shot. That's usually something I look for because, you know, that's really hard to do and to keep the tension up for that whole time. Everybody's in their spots.
Now, as like an editor, I notice cuts every time I see one.
They usually have hidden cuts, yeah.
Now that I'm editing stuff like constantly, like I can see them totally. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that was it. So that like is where I was like, okay, yes. I mean, like the little thing sprinkled in there, like was like, okay, all right, you got my attention. When that hit, I was like, yes, I'm here for it. Give me more of that. So I was pretty much hooked in that.
Actually, I will say, just to combat my thought earlier about how there was no aspect of the Hopper Russia stuff I liked. Now I'm looking at my notes. There was something I actually did really like, and that was his whole escape scene from the prison, where it was out in the snow and his fight in that little cabin. All of that stuff I kind of enjoyed, but other than that, I guess maybe the Demogorgon scene was okay. I don't know.
Meh. Yeah, no, I was not for that.
So, like it didn't need to be dragged out. They could have done all that like in half the time. Like cut some of the Joyce and Murray stuff out, let the Hopper stuff play out a little bit longer, and get to the point.
Seeing what's his name turn on them was like, dude, that guy's gonna turn on you the whole time. It's just like it was so obvious. I don't know.
It made it more frustrating than anything else. Like you saw it coming, but at least for me, I was already like, man, this is taking too long, and then just thinking, oh, now the process is going to be even longer. I'm just like, the whole Russian thing you guys have already kind of mentioned was, to me, the low part of the whole thing. Absolutely. And I don't really see what it's adding to the show. Like, I know in season 3 they brought it in. It was kind of like the hokey thing, like the Russians are coming, and the whole commie kind of deal. But I don't know. Here, I don't even see what the benefit is. Like, I'm sure in the second half they'll add to it, but no.
In this season, with the Russian stuff, in my opinion, there's absolutely no connective threading of it tying to the main plot whatsoever. Like, unless in the final 2 episodes I don't know how, unless it ties somehow with the way they got that Demogorgon, was that they have their own rift
gate or
something on their side.
I'm sure they'll tie it in, but I can't imagine it's going to be worth it. Like, they could have probably rewritten it without Russia at all, and it probably would have felt more concise. Like, this feels like just a tool to keep everybody separated more, and I don't think it's helped any character development for anybody. Like Hopper, I felt, has been a little wasted there. We got a little more backstory with his military background, but they could have dropped that anywhere else. Like it just feels like wasted time.
JC seemed like she had something to say.
No, I was just agreeing.
Oh.
So the other thing that I liked is that I kind of forgot that the kids were smart. Like that they're nerds, so they're like D&D nerds. But I kind of forgot that they were like science nerds, and I was like, oh yeah, they were like the middle school AV club. They're nerds, So they're like, oh, the electromagnetic and my compass and this and that. Yeah, I was like, oh, that's right. They're like science nerds too. I I'm glad that they kind of did that back, because otherwise they end up being really flat. Like, like not a whole lot of dimension or skill or anything to have them do what they're doing, which is solve all the murders.
I will say
I think part of the issue. Oh, I was gonna say, I think kind of that point, like because they have so many characters now, like it's a lot to keep up with, remembering all their backstories, how they got here, and all this kind of stuff. That I think is starting to be a detriment to the show. You've got too many people, and a lot of them are kind of wasted. Like, let's be real, Mike, his only purpose in any of this show has been to be Elle's boyfriend. Like, I don't think he's done anything of major contribution. And
Dustin
Will,
is a
besides
super
being
important
lost,
one.
who?
Dustin is one of the only Will and
Dustin
Dustin
contributes.
Are the only,
I don't feel like Lucas has done a whole lot.
Will is only important because of what he went through the first season.
Yeah,
right?
he was gone. So really, the only kid who's done something is Dustin.
Elle and Dustin.
Yeah, so like you've got so they were kind of wasted, and like Joyce is wasted. Murray is whatever. Like you just got a bunch of characters that you don't care about, aren't contributing to the story, or it's just they're just there. Even I always forgot his name. Nancy's actual boyfriend,
Jonathan.
Jonathan. He's become wasted. Like I don't remember what he's.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then you got a new character with his stoner friend, and you got Dustin's girlfriend.
I hate that stoner friend.
Argyle.
No hate for Jonathan, but that actor he's not my favorite in this show. I just think his character is kind of boring, and
I haven't given him anything to do. That's the problem. Like they have all these characters that they've created, and they give them one thing to introduce them. Like I want this character to do this one thing in the story, and they do it. And now they're just there. Like we're forced to have them for the rest of the show because now they're just part of the crew.
All the characters that they've introduced. Sorry, good.
I kind of wish. I cut you off again. So I say it one more time.
I said they have to keep them because now they're in the Scooby Gang.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, what I was gonna say is kill them off. Maybe that's pretty dark because they're kids.
I deserved better.
Here's the thing: you got so many members now that aren't doing anything. I think how impactful it would have been. Like. I know people probably didn't want Max to die, but that would have been a real gut punch if they would have had her die running towards the thing.
But like you're saying, that's why I like Max's brother was such a cool character because he started off as a douche, had an arc, went through some changes, and then by the end of the season, you're rooting for this character to be successful and turn things around, and it's that was a really good character for that season. That was one of the best characters of that season.
The thing is, so he was always set up to be a villain, and it's kind of the tragic, a villain dies right as he kind of comes around kind of thing. But killing off heroes too, man. I know it's dark, and yes, these are kids, and I'm sure that's why they're not jumping to that. Well, granted, they've killed off other high school kids, Chrissy and that one little.
Killed lots of high school.
Yeah, they weren't heroes. We didn't love them.
But you know what I'm saying? They're, I guess, apparently killing kids isn't off the table.
They have plot armor. Is that what they call it?
Yeah. Well, no, I think that could have added some. It would have thinned the cast a little bit, and I don't know. I think would have helped push things along. They should have killed off Hop for real in the last season.
Maybe.
I know everybody likes Hop, but what has he added right now besides being the mopey? Oh man, I'm the curse to everybody's life. You kill off Hop, then you don't have Joyce and Murray running off to Russia. You've kept them contained now. Hop now has kind of this legend to him, and is more meaningful. I don't know. And plus, it's not like you had a whole lot of time to even think he was dead. He died at the end of season 3, and immediately in season 1, he's back. Yeah. So funny thing, I was in Walmart the other day. You don't have to watch the show to know he's back. They had a Stranger Things themed flashlight. You can open up a secret message in it, and it says, Hop's alive. And that's plastered on the side of the box. So it's I don't know, you don't even get to revel in that. Yeah. So kill him off, keep him dead.
What do you think of Eddie? So you think I think he's been an entertaining character introduced.
Yeah, I mean, he's been serving this role in the plot well, but here's my concern now. So you've introduced him to do this one thing in this storyline. I don't know how long this show's supposed to go on, if this is their last season, or if they got more.
The last season is the next one. The next one is the last season, they've said.
So I don't know if Eddie's going to serve a major role in the next one, but now he's just going to be another part of the Scooby Gang that we got to keep tabs on. Kill him off.
I have a plot issue I had that I wrote down here is I'm not quite sure why the group doesn't just let Eddie get arrested. Then the cops will see it isn't him committing the murders.
Well, they don't necessarally know that there's going to be
another murder.
They could just pin it on him,
But once there was more than 2 or 3 murders, it's why don't you just let
but their hope is to prevent them too. They prevented Max's. I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I guess in a way that could have worked out, but at the same time, it's a gamble. Like, I don't know, you get them in the system, and then there is no other murder. Now it's all depend on them because they need a scapegoat. So, I don't know.
I guess another thing for me is how many times have you guys listened to Kate Bush since since this series? I know Kate Bush on YouTube. She's like gotten millions of views or listens now to her song.
Her.
I didn't even.
Yeah, it's a good song. I like it.
I had never heard of the song before this. Sorry, go ahead, JC.
Oh, no, I said it was a good song. It's a good one. I liked it, especially for how they used it. And like, man, that Max scene running, I was like, oh, they're setting up that she's going to die. She's writing all these letters. I'm like, oh man, it doesn't. And Phoenix is like, she's not going to die. They're setting it to, and then as she's running, I'm like, oh my gosh,
yeah, I thought she could get squished last minute. I think that would have been better. You can hate me for it, but I think that would have.
I do think this season is suffering from a lack of, because once you have main characters stick around for long enough, then it starts feeling again like plot armor, where it's like, I get it. A lot of these people are safe. Nothing's gonna happen. This
show hasn't killed off any main characters yet, has it? Really, besides Hop got killed off.
Bob. He wasn't a main character.
He wasn't a main character. Billy wasn't a main character. Like, the main crew has stuck around, which makes me now like, okay, I'm not ever really all that worried about him. Like, I was pseudo worried about Max because she's still kind of a new character, but apparently she's got that armor.
So I guess this whole thing's been spoilers at this point, but what did you guys think of the whole mysterious number one and all of that stuff and how he ties in that stuff? Ooh. So cool, I thought.
Yes,
that actor was awesome. He was like cynical.
Yes, like when I'm starting to watch it, like I started getting that little inkling that maybe there was more to this. And then as he's explaining things, I'm like, no, that what he's saying is not adding up. And then like I'm kind of on it like just a few seconds before they reveal it. Kind of what's going on. And that was really fun for me to be like, oh, figure it out, and then get it confirmed like, 3 seconds later. I felt like this was a real payoff, like this little end or this mid-season, midterm, I don't know, what do you call it? But this little break in the season, I feel like I got real payoff, which I felt like I haven't gotten in this show for a while. Like they teased stuff with the Demogorgon, like in the first one where like it took you forever to see it and then it was finally revealed towards the end. I really enjoyed that anticipation waiting for it. Yeah. And I felt like we really got that anticipation at this one, especially because like it clicked for me. When Elle's walking around and we think that she killed all the kids and the thing, you see them all like turn different ways and all this stuff. And then a second before we see one of their faces, I'm like, we haven't seen their faces, but it's not because like she can't bear
or whatever.
Right. It's not because she, couldn't bear to see them or that we as the audience couldn't bear to see kids in that form. It was because it was a nice little bow at the end of the monologue of you see their face and you're like, oh my gosh, if we'd seen this, we would have figured it out.
Well, to be honest, I feel like I would have seen it coming more, but in Robert Englund's scene, I could have sworn he said something about both of his children dying. So
he did.
So that's why
he didn't know.
Yeah.
Like he did say like my son went into a coma and then he died shortly after. So I don't think like it was ever explicitly said to him that his kid ended up in an institution, but that's because probably hidden behind the scenes from him.
Fair enough.
I think what I've really liked about this is like throughout the entire series, I mean the upside down, the mind flare and all this, like they've been kind of just anomalous big bad entities. Like what's their real motive besides just being bad? This is the first time there's been like something with context that relates to our characters that is behind all this stuff going on. Like that's why I was saying like I'm not sure the mind flare is the true big bad here, because I know that's what Dustin said. But if you think about
because he went into a world that was already developed and evil.
That was not it wasn't really creative. Like there was a world there, but you see him getting sucked into it. It doesn't look like Hawking's yet. I don't see any other like creatures. I mean, granted, it was just a glimpse of it, but I don't. It makes me feel like he is more of an instigator to me. Like I don't know. I could be very wrong. Because why would he be working for the Mind Flayer? Like, how does that benefit him? Like, this guy's gone into it with a very clear motivation of what he wants to do. So, I don't know. It almost feels like more the Mind Flayer was a tool for him, maybe. I don't know. And I could be wrong, but I
another
see
quick
go either
question
way.
is for me is does all of the scientists and Papa, do they exactly know what exactly happened? Because
they would have to. They watched the video.
They have the video? Okay. Yeah, I didn't think
Well,
about
yeah, I mean, Brenner, is it Brenner or Brennan? Whatever, Brenner, I think.
Well, because Papa
he put
throughout
the
the
video
whole...
at the end.
Well, because he says when Elle comes to the door and forces it open, he says, what have you done? So
but that's when he was in it. He hadn't watched this, retrospectively, but they now have a video. This is, 10 years after that? He's had a video done. He's watched it since.
So if Papa knew that... Number one.
That's why they want Elle to get her powers back, because they know this entity is out there.
But if Papa,
she's the only one.
But if
that's the whole thing. They're setting up saying you're the only one that can do anything, because she is the only one that's done anything with number one. Because what did they do with number one? They chipped him so that he couldn't do anything because they didn't have any power over him.
But that's what I'm saying. If the whole time number one was under their influence, and they had him chipped because they clearly know he's evil or something. Why have someone you can't necessarily control? I mean, I guess you could make the argument it's because they're taking from him, because that's the whole gist, is that they're taking from him and cloning it or moving it into these children. So maybe that's why they just kept him around, is because even though they know he's
too
evil,
valuable to dispose
of.
And they technically thought they did have him under control because he was under control
for how many years?
Manipulated Elle.
Mm-hmm. And if he hated all them so much, why did he just bonk Papa on the head? Wouldn't he have ripped Papa to shreds if he disliked him that much? I don't know.
Well, maybe.
Wait, say that again. Who hates who?
Because
one hates Papa.
One hates Papa and everything. He hates society and all the children and everything. So why didn't he just take Papa and dismember him worse than everyone else when he knows this guy's the one controlling him? I don't know. He just kind of bonked him on the head and was like, "I'll let you live."
Well, let me think about this.
No, he didn't.
No, I think he blasted a door. I don't think he went in there and exterminated. I think he was just popping doors as he was going out.
Yeah, I don't think there was ever necessarily an interaction directly with one after he got all his powers back, and then Brenner. Unless I missed that, but I think you're right. I think Brenner got knocked out.
Brenner probably the one he would hate the most.
Well, yeah, but he made him run. I don't think he knew where Brenner was yet. I don't think. I think it was, just collateral damage. He got knocked down. He probably didn't realize he was in there. And then by the time he, was going to go search for him, that's when Elle encountered him, and bam, got sent off to wherever. So
okay.
Oh, the timeline is.
You sound like one of the showrunners here. I don't like this.
I am
defending everything.
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's weird because it makes sense, but there's little gaps there, so you do have to kind of fill it in. Even the timeline now, I'm trying to figure out, because so did Elle create the Upside Down, or create it as it is? Because the moment she sent this one over to that side, is that when gates started popping up around Hawkins, and that's when Will got sucked in? Because apparently the Upside Down was created the day that Will got sucked in. So are these the same event?
I think it's all the same event. Yeah, in my opinion, I think Elle basically is the creator of, not the creator of the Upside Down, but she is the founder.
Upside Down.
The Hawkins Upside Down. She's more like the founder.
I agree.
But do we think it? Well, that's a question, because when you see one getting sent into the Upside Down, it looks nothing like Hawkins yet, and Elle doesn't seem like she did anything to turn it into Hawkins. So did one recreate the Upside Down in the image of Hawkins?
But I just thought about it,
because his house that he's hanging out in.
Because where? I don't know. That's interesting. I was just thinking about it. Well, because it wasn't in the first season when, it was on the wall, right? The opening, the very first opening. It was on the wall in that science. I don't know. She kind of created it. That's all I'm saying. She created.
There was a gate there. Yeah.
Because where she killed him, that's where that Demogorgon in the first season comes out of. Because remember, wherever you die is where a portal gets created.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because
is that true for every? I mean, that might be true. I don't know. It's hard to see if that's the same rule. So
because that's what happened in the season, right? Because everywhere one of the kids died, they said a portal was created.
I guess that would make sense. And that's where one died. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
because he died on that wall, and I remember in the first season it was that wall. There was like a crack in that wall, in that like almost exact spot where that Demogorgon came out of. I don't know.
Yeah, so maybe it wasn't the exact moment that Will got taken, but within like the same day, probably, because Elle escapes that day, Demogorgon gets out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know. There's definitely some questions there, and the timeline's a little weird, but it sounds like that's what they're going for. It all kind of stemmed from that event.
Right.
I'm curious to see how the Upside Down became the flip side of Hawkins. I'm not sure if Elle did that, or if one did that, or if it was something else. Maybe it is the Mind Flayer, but.
Maybe
It's interesting. I'm glad there's questions now to wonder what's going on.
Maybe
like
number one, just like you said, maybe he was the creator of the Upside Down, and he just created what he knew.
At least that version of the
what
Upside
he knew
Down
was that town, and maybe that's where he was from. You know, he just created a place that was something recognizable.
I don't know. That's kind of tricky, though. It just makes me wonder if it's something about the gate aspect of it sucks in kind of where it came from and made something there. Because if you think about number one, he's like in a facility. He doesn't really know the town. Like, they don't let him out to be like.
But he grew up there as a kid, at least for a little while.
Yeah.
He lived there long enough to probably get a feel for the town.
A little while, but Nancy's house is there with her shoes and her diary. I don't know, just something about that. There's so much detail from one place to the other. It seems like a weird thing. Unless they're playing like he made it and he's a psychic and he knows what everybody else in the town is thinking. So maybe that's how he recreated it. I don't know. There's just something about that doesn't seem.
They have a lot.
exact
They have a lot to answer in these
yeah.
final 2 episodes. They have a lot to.
I'm just glad
explain.
there's some answers to be searching for now. Like up to this point, like I had no idea where they were going with this, because like the end of season 3 ended with them killing the Mind Flayer, right, or some entity like the Mind
of the Mind Flayer.
Yeah. So, Alan, I was kind of getting like just bored of that whole thing. Like, oh, the Mind Flayer's back. Let's kill him again. Oh no, it's the Mind Flayer. So it's nice to see that there's some new intriguing component to this, where there's some questions we're trying to figure out. So I don't know. I'm for it. I like where they're going with it.
I agree. The last 2 episodes. I think the last episode of this previous first 7 was an hour and a half. So I fully expect the last 2 to probably both be hour and a half long episodes, maybe 2 each. You know,
is it only 2 episodes?
It's only 2 episodes, I believe. The second part, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just saw volume 2. I assumed it was going to be
a whole set of episodes. Yeah.
I could be wrong though. I have not checked.
I will
All right. While you're pulling that up, I kind of want to just hop into what I really did not like about this season. I was bored. Like, there are parts that blew my mind. I was like, yes, give me more. But other parts where I was like scrolling on my phone, like, you know, all the California stuff. Like,
we went to Russia. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was just not there for it. So I would kind of like half pay attention for those parts and then pop in when it got good again. I think I could do this like an abridged version where like you cut out those parts, and I just want the storyline that is, you know, concise and to the point.
The main Hawkins storyline is good.
Yes.
Everything else is just spinning its wheels.
It says here
Pretty
that
much.
the final or Stranger Things season 2 finale is just 2 movies, so it's probably, I'm guessing, 2-hour length. You know.
Which, I mean, that's fine. I mean, if it's to the point, I mean, the whole point we're just saying is like the first season felt bloated. Probably half the season could have been yanked out. And it was what, 7 episodes? So knock it down to 4. That's about 2 movies worth of good content. So if these last 2 movies or episodes are focused, and hopefully another Russia stuff will speed up, because that they're together over there, maybe there'll be some revelations.
They absolutely have to have some sort of connective thread to this main plot. There has to be.
I still don't think it's going to be big enough to be worth it, but you know, they'll do something.
It was just, I think it was really just feeling like padding. Like, you know, I didn't even, that was the whole thing. It was no purpose. Like, it just felt like fluff that was unnecessary. And I don't know, I just don't know how you make a show like that, where you're like making these parts that are so good and these parts that are so bad. Like, you know, I just, anyway. But overall, I'm hooked. I'm going to watch more of it, but I'm probably going to have my phone handy just in case.
Yeah.
You know, we have
Play
to
some
chase
Diablo.
down. Yes, yes.
All right, so I think I'm gonna move us on. I mean, was there any other like final thoughts you guys had overall? I think we're all like, I actually went into these 2 shows at the same time, Obi-Wan and Stranger Things. I watched them back to back, and I was expecting to like Obi-Wan much more than Stranger Things, and I actually found myself liking Stranger Things slightly more than Obi-Wan. I don't know how you.
Well, Stranger Things gave you more. Like Obi-Wan was just 2
And we've only
episodes.
seen
This
2
was
episodes,
a bulk. So
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, Chazzy Coon, I'm gonna be on your side for this stuff. We'll be against Phoenix.
Oh, the video game oriented
I
things.
can take you both on. You and your 8-ball.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's see. Do you want to talk Sony or Microsoft first?
Let's do Sony.
Do Sony? All right, so I will pull up the B-roll. So like I said, we can literally just go through. We'll go through the entire event and just kind of talk about, we'll be super quick because I feel like we're kind of carrying on again. But so let's see. We'll move on. So first off, one of the big things that people took away from this event. If you guys didn't know, this event was supposed to be presented as it was only third-party stuff, and it was supposed to be PlayStation VR 2 oriented games. Now, luckily, Sony actually had some first-party oriented stuff to show here, which I was actually really happy about. But they started the show off right off the bat with Resident Evil 4 remake. What about you, Phoenix? Anything? I know you're not a spoopy game type of person.
I mean, Resident Evil is about my speed. Like, here's the thing. I like creepy stuff. I don't like jump scary stuff. So, like, Resident Evil doesn't usually have a whole lot of that, so I'm usually on board for it. I mean, that's why I like something like Stranger Things. It's not, jump scary. But no, I mean, Resident Evil 4, that's the classic one, right? I mean, everybody loves 4. And I'll tell you, I really like they tied this in with the VR stuff, because they just did the Resident Evil 4 VR with Oculus, and that was really cool. I didn't play the whole thing yet, but I was playing with the nephews, and it was cool, man. It worked really well. So to think they're going to have an up-resed version of it on newer VR tech, I think that's going to be a cool thing.
No. I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, I've been finding myself enjoying Resident Evil games more and more. For the large part of my life, I was not a scary game player, and just, I'd say in the last decade, I've started to, like, really get into them, and it all started with, I'd say that first BioShock game. I know that's not a pure scary game, but there were definitely horror elements in it that, like, were definitely, like, my introduction, where I'm like, I kind of like this kind of stuff.
I noped out of the first BioShock the first time I played it. I was like, I must have been like 13 or something, and I downloaded the demo. Yeah, I downloaded the demo, which doesn't go real far, and I played it like 2 o'clock in the morning, like, all the lights off, and I got to that bathysphere part where you come up and she's like slicing it up. The door opens, and I'm like, nope, turned off my 360 right then.
I love that game. That game's so good.
Yeah, I love it. I came back and I played it, and it was not as creepy or scary as it lets on. Those first few minutes, though, they set a tone.
Yeah, so. And I would say another game that actually really got me into it was Dead Space, because I played Dead Space not long after that, and I love sci-fi and horror. It's a great combo. Great combo.
I never played that one. My buddy was playing it, and there were enough jump scares watching him do it that I'm like, nope. So.
But yeah, so as far as for they did announce that with Resident Evil 4, they are making a remake version of it, or a VR version of it, which will be really cool. It just kind of said that that's in development. And then immediately after that, they said that Resident Evil Village or Resident Evil 8 will also be getting VR content as well, which a lot of people, I guess it makes sense. A lot of people have been saying that why didn't that game launch with VR capabilities right off the bat? I would assume creating something in VR is almost like creating a whole new game, so that's probably
why. Not necessarily.
Really?
I mean, it depends. I mean, certainly things that don't work in, VR that work, it's on a standard game, but like interface stuff and the way you move around, but it's not like they had to rebuild a whole game. There's probably enough effort on UI, navigation and stuff that they didn't want to release it at the time. Plus, I'm sure they wanted to release it with the fancy new Sony VR2 headsets, launch title kind of thing. So I'm sure that was part of it. But,
oh man, you know the real reason why people want to play this game in VR, right?
Big lady vampire.
I want to see that big woman.
Buddy.
I was watching Angry Joe earlier, and he was like, "I can't wait to stand underneath her." And I was like, "Oh my gosh!"
Everybody's talking about that, but the moment that I think they're going to realize they don't want VR is when they get to that baby scene. Yeah.
The one you only watched because I was streaming it. That was scary.
Yeah. Oh man, can just imagine that being like in VR in that hallway with that thing chasing you.
I like scary games. I'm not playing.
Oh no, I will buy the game for my PS5 with the VR headsets just to watch you play it.
I'll do it on stream if you buy all that. But man, that's gonna be scary. Like that was like I was legitimately frightened playing that on stream.
That was the creepiest part of that game.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely cool. I'm gonna be honest.
What does the Magic 8 Ball say, Jackie? Are you a fan of VR?
Are you a spoopy fan?
Hold on.
Maybe someday. Perhaps.
better not tell you now.
What?
Oh.
It says better not tell you now.
Off stream.
I don't like Resident Evil to play it. Because I'm just more of a hack and slash player. Like, I'm not into like aiming and shooting and first person and puzzles. Like, no, I don't want any puzzles. And I feel like Resident Evil is a bunch of puzzles, but I like speedruns watching them. It's not my favorite to play through.
I agree. Like, I find myself, like, since I've been getting into Resident Evil games the last few years, Phoenix can tell you, I'm not a puzzle guy. I enjoy those games for a lot of their action elements and fighting with the monsters, but like
Libyans.
when it start getting into puzzles, I'm just like, ugh.
Like, oh, this medallion crest area is a picture of a hawk, and so you have to find
for that kind of
the
stuff.
medallion on the other side, and then you have to walk that thing all the way back over to the other one.
I need a notebook where I got to write down everything and draw pictures and like have my cryptography manual next to me so I can break down ciphers.
Wasn't that game? Witness? The Witness? Wasn't that like that type of game?
Yeah. Man, some of those puzzles are weird. A lot of those, and they were puzzles, but they were all like visual puzzles. So that one kind of burned me out.
I would never play that game.
It just burns you out. Like I don't want to get onto it, but if you're into puzzle games, I actually don't recommend that one. It's a lot of the same kind of puzzles over and over and over again, which I thought was a little monotonous.
Yeah.
So once I master it, I'd be good at it. So it'd be a good puzzle game for me. Master one puzzle and then I get them all.
That's the downside about puzzle games. Is like once you played it, you know all the puzzles, so you know. Yeah. No fun anymore.
All right, so our next, I didn't even know this was a sequel. I mean, there's this game called The Walking Dead: Saints and Sinners Retribution Chapter 2. I didn't even know about a first Saints and Sinners game, which I thought it was interesting. I mean, a lot of people thought at first it was Dying Light or some sort of Dying Light VR, but yeah, I mean. Anything? There's nothing. I could care less about Walking Dead.
This does not look good to me. I haven't played a lot of the Walking. I mean, I knew there was a Saints and Sinners VR before, and I think it got decent reviews on it. But I'll tell you, in general, the Walking Dead games are not great. At least the ones I played.
Only
the graphics on this look real dated. Like I can't tell if they're going for a realistic style or a cartoony style, or if it's just unpolished. Yeah. It does not look good to me. And here's, I think, the biggest kicker. You have a zombie game in this going up against zombie games with Resident Evil. And, I mean, Resident Evil, to me, is going to win hands down. I know the gameplay is going to be different to a certain extent, but I don't know. I could be just me. I'm not the market for this. I said I'm not a Walking Dead fan either anymore. So maybe those who are really into it.
It doesn't even look scary. Like, it's so bright. It's all out in the open. The zombies are slow. I don't see any diversity within these zombie types. I mean, the whole point of The Walking Dead is that I'm assuming there'll be human factions that are like up against, so you'll be fighting zombies and human factions, but it's like
This seems low one note.
I've never found that stuff to be entertaining for The Walking Dead, but
yeah, I'm not into this, but somebody might be, so yay.
Somebody? You're insulting somebody out there. They're like, that's my game.
And that's fair. I don't know anything about the game, so I won't come too harsh, but the graphics look rough.
Yeah, I agree. So. Next is a game I've been meaning to play for the longest time. I mean, what is this? No Man's Sky.
This might get me to do it.
This might be cool in VR, yeah. Getting to see all the monsters and stuff.
Like, I've been putting it off, too, because I mean, we all know how terrible it launched. But I've been hearing, all the free updates it's been getting and how much effort the developers have been putting into it. And I mean, it looks cool. I mean, I've always liked the aesthetic of it, navigating to planets and all that looks like fun. And in VR, as long as it's handled well, I think it'll be a really cool experience. I know a lot of people like favorite VR games are like, what is it? Elite
Dangerous?
Elite Dangerous, yeah. Like stuff like that where like inside the cockpit, or even like, was it Rogue, Star Wars Rogue? Squadron. No, just Squadrons. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Rogue Squadron. Like just being in the cockpit for a VR kind of thing, that fits really well because you don't have to like move around. You can just kind of engage with the instrument panels and stuff. So I don't know. I think that might be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm not. If I'm gonna play this game, I still haven't played the normal version. I think I'd rather play the normal version first. I mean, I'm not a VR really oriented guy, but who knows? We'll move on to something else that I actually know you really like. I've never played any of these, but the Horizon guys announced they have a new VR game called, what is it? It's like Call of the Mountain, I think it is.
Something. I don't remember the subtitle.
But yeah, I actually think this, in terms of visuals, look like one of the prettiest games maybe. I heard somebody say that they think this could rival what was the Half-Life Alyx in terms of how good a VR game looks. 'Cause I know a lot of people consider that to be the best looking
Alex
VR.
did look really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this will be another one I fully expect you to play. This seems like you're up your alley.
Yeah, I mean, I like Horizon. I still haven't played the new one. Haven't had a chance to. I don't know. Like, I am very much into Horizon. I'm just not sure how the gameplay is going to translate. Because what I liked about Horizon is just how quick it was. Like the moment-to-moment kind of strategy to take down the robot dinosaurs. I know they have that here. I just feel like it's going to be so much slower since I assume you're not going to run around like you normally do. Like the navigational element of this is going to be a little awkward. So I think it's going to be very much a wait and see. Like the reason Alex worked so well is it was a slow-paced kind of action game. Like you weren't like running around. You could just move out of the way quickly if something was chasing you. But this game, I feel like you're going to need some control. I don't know, or it's going to feel a little too stagnant to kind of stay in one place.
Seems like one JC might like. Like it's not like, I don't know. Like it's not like a horror oriented, but like it seems like one I would want to play in VR. Like it's not horror, but there's like a lot of action elements, and it definitely seems a little more cinematic, which I kind of like. Like if I'm gonna play VR, I want like the full cinematic,
you want it to be
immersive.
Beautiful. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
And it looks very immersive. I like the shots, that they're stepping over you and underwater. It seems very like I can get behind that. Like,
and there's a lot of like platforming, which I can imagine that's terrifying. Probably in VR platforming.
Yeah, I think it's going to
like
look
that walk
cool.
the plank game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I played that.
I'm just mostly concerned about the moment-to-moment gameplay. Like, I think it's going to look cool, and being in the environment's going to be cool, but how well is it going to play? So, I don't know. We'll see.
No.
I don't need to play. I can just walk around, right? Take a little
Stay in the opening area. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, that was actually, was there something I skipped? No? All right. Well, one thing that actually was really cool is we got an announcement after Sony over many years saying that first-party games will never go to PC. Well, now all of a sudden they've been seeing a lot of apparently good revenue. So you're getting is this the first one, right? Not Miles Morales? This is the original Spider-Man game?
This is the first. I think I read, unless I misread, that they are going to bring Miles shortly after.
Interesting. But yeah, I haven't played this game either. So I have the game, I just still don't have a PS4. But I don't know. This might be one that I totally buy on Steam or whatever launcher. Does Sony have their own app? No?
They've been doing everything through Steam, which is a good idea.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, if I definitely expect that maybe I'll buy it through Steam and want to play this one. This will look pretty, I think. And this is a game that I know Phoenix. This is one of your favorite games over the last decade. Maybe just superhero game.
I mean, I guess if you're going to put it in that category, like, this is a great game. It's not like, top 10 games ever made kind of thing, but like if you're a Spider-Man fan, especially if remember old Spider-Man, it's like Spider-Man 2, the classic first one, let you swing through the city for the first time. This is the evolution of that, and it feels so good. Like the most or the best part of this game is just swinging around. Like the story's good, yes, the game, moment-to-moment combat's great, but the swinging mechanics, man, that's where it's at. So if you at all care about Spider-Man, this is the game to play.
That's why the Arkham series is one of my favorite game trilogies ever. It's just
makes you feel like Batman.
That
makes you feel like Spider-Man.
The whole flying mechanics in those games were just so darn good. Like just slinging around and using the grapple shot. Like I can imagine Spider-Man would be incredible to play.
Yeah, great game. It's great to see it coming on PC, and I'm glad to see that Sony's putting more things on PC. I mean, here pretty soon, I think all their big PS4 exclusives pretty much be there, barring a couple. Like God of War is already there. Isn't the Uncharted collection there or about to come? Is that what they're talking about?
I don't know.
I feel like they're putting a lot of their IPs here, which is good. I mean, for those who don't want to pony up to buy a PS4 or eventually a PS5, that's a good way to get your hands on those games.
Yeah, fair enough. We'll move on to another interesting one I know a lot of people have liked, is the game called Stray. This is the kitty cat game. It's where you play as a kitty cat, and there's some sort of like futuristic, maybe alien world where there's like robots and who knows what's going on. I think the kitty's probably an alien of some sort. But yeah, it's by EnteR, which is a big developer. They make a lot of good stuff, but I definitely think this is one I want to play. I just want to play as a cat and run around and jump on some stuff.
And I want to be a cat. That's a life. No, I like the way this one looks, definitely.
I don't know. It looks boring to me. I'm sorry. I mean, so the gimmick's you're a cat, but if you weren't a cat, if this was any other game and you were just a person, like, what's interesting about this?
Are you into sim games? Because I could just live a game as a cat, all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it just looks fun. I mean, I think this is one where I definitely think, though, like, 5 hours
Little
in...
snarl snake there.
5 hours in, you're just like, I get it. I'm a cat.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool idea, I guess, but you replace the cat with any other character, and it's just another action, stealth
like a
platformer kind of thing.
It's gonna be a different kind of
that'd be a
animal.
whole different thing.
I don't know if anyone,
This is the next Sly Cooper, Chaz.
if anyone's worried about how much they might like it or not, I think they announced that this game is coming straight to the PS Plus. So at least there's that where you don't have to if you're curious about it, you don't have to pay full price.
Here's what they need to do: make it VR. Now, if I can be a cat in VR,
Whoa, that's a good idea. All right, pitch that thing.
That would be terrible. I mean,
you have to crawl down on all fours while you're playing.
Yeah, that would be terrible.
What do you say?
How uncomfortable would that be? You'd have to run around on all fours.
You have to lick yourself to like refill on ammo or something.
That would be terrible. That's an awful idea. Like the game doesn't register you're playing unless your hands are on the ground because you have like the wrist things. Jeez.
See, this could be great. Now that'd be an immersive sim. I'd be all about that.
Oh man.
All right, so I'm gonna speed us up a little bit. So actually, my favorite thing from here was a game I actually already knew about, but it's a game called the Callisto Protocol, which, if you guys don't know, this is made by one of the creators of the Dead Space games. But since he no longer works with that company, he went on to make his own thing. He has his own studio, and this is his new game, which basically is Dead Space.
Yeah, I thought this was Dead Space at first. I'm like looking at him like, did I miss something?
I freaking love Dead Space, so like I'm perfectly okay with it. Hey,
is this going to be too homage for you though?
Homage?
No, Dead Space.
Because this straight up looks like Dead Space, man. I mean,
it does, yeah.
I guess it probably depends on how much you like Dead Space, because, for someone who loves a certain type of game, to have it all over again for like the first time, even though it's the same game.
Well, that's just going back then to your Trek to Yumi thing. Like, that's not negative then. So I'm just saying. Remember, I gotta do everything opposite of you, Chaz.
Homage.
To be fair, horror games have to like. There's not a huge. I don't know. I feel like horror games just have to fit in a few like specific spots to their fan base. It's like, I don't know. I feel like
you have to check certain boxes.
Yeah, there have to be certain boxes checked, and if you're able to do that, people will love your game. And I don't know. I love Dead Space. I don't know. I like sci-fi and I like horror. So again, this is another sci-fi horror game made by a former Dead Space dev. So I'm happy with it.
I'm probably not going to play it.
You can.
It's all right. We'll watch the stream.
You can watch my stream. Most definitely, I'll play it. We had this game. I don't know if you guys cared about this one. Was it Roller something? What was this one called?
Yeah, I don't remember the roller thing. I know it was roller skating.
It was called Roller Drome.
Roller Dome.
No,
Drone. Roller Drome, man.
Yeah. It looked kind of interesting. I don't really like the art style, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't really see how difficult it is when you're the only one that can move around like that, and all the enemies.
Is this just? It's a single player game?
I don't know. Just the enemies look stagnant.
It looks like it. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I kind of like the art style, but I'm not necessarily too keen on the gameplay.
Yeah. It looks alright. Yeah, I'll move us on to another one. I tell you what, I'm just going to go through. If there's any game that you guys see that looks interesting, we'll stop. But this game, I think the kind of point of it is that it is a... What do they call it? They call it...
a dating sim,
RPG
action thingy.
Yeah.
JC's going to be all about this.
No, Chazzy-kun.
Anyway. It's not my type of game. I mean, maybe I'd be down to play it. I don't know. It's not...
Oh, man. I haven't seen this whole preview.
Yeah. It's not exactly...
Oh, hold R2 to hold hands. There we go.
I don't think this is something I'd like to play. I mean,
But would your fans want to watch you play it?
Oh, get that Patreon up, all right?
Maybe, I don't know. To be honest, I would rather go play, like, I've never played any of the Persona games. I'd rather go try out one of those than, like, play this maybe, but...
Yeah, do
well,
that.
they're
That's
long,
my
man.
recommendation.
No.
I like that one.
So this game's called Eternites, if you don't know. I'm happy for you if you love it. Another major one is something that I'm not particularly crazy about. I mean, they announced Street Fighter 6. If you didn't know, if you didn't notice, they actually changed the logo. Remember when we did a section talking about that logo and all the hubbub about that?
And it's still not very good.
It's actually worse, I think. But
I don't think it's worse. I mean, I get what they're trying to do with the Roman numeral thing on there. It's just, I don't know. It's just funny.
So, any interest? I'm not really a fighter game type of person. Like, I think if there is a fighter series I like, it's Mortal Kombat, and that's purely because of the nostalgia and just the craziness of those games. You know, maybe the gore.
Street Fighter's too hard for me. Like you get like Mortal Kombat, you can button mash your way through and still have fun. Like that's kind of fighter I am. Street Fighter though, you can't do that. You gotta know the mechanics, and that's just too much effort for me.
This is the hubbub people are making though about this game. Is if you notice, there is an open worldness single player. It looks like if you notice this it looks like a created character, and he's running around this town doing all sorts of things. So they're clearly adding some sort of open world story thing to it, which is
I feel like that's going to be kind of, I don't know, because what are the interactions you're going to do that are going to be worthwhile? It feels like just padding. I don't know.
I agree. Boo.
Well, maybe they're trying out something new and seeing, what they can make of it.
They're not allowed.
Why are you
Stick
being
to what
so...
you do.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Just be negative then.
No, you're
I'll
wrong.
Just looking at what they were doing. He's just like running around, punching a box. I don't know. It just didn't look like it was engaging open world side content. It seems like just the way they're going to piece together the fights, which I don't know. I guess if that's what you're into.
Fighting games fans are like so hardcore though. It's going to be people that like fighting games are probably going to get what they want, I would assume. I mean,
it's going to come down to if the fighting mechanics are good, though. Like, no one ultimately is going to care about the open world side, because Street Fighter is competitive. Yeah. So, unless the fighting mechanics are really good, they're not going to give a crap about anything else. And I know, like, for Street Fighter 5 was the most recent one, people blasted that thing because it was not good. It had a lot of issues when it first came out, so...
Yeah. Alright, so another one, we got an announcement that Tunic is coming to PlayStation. Again, on my streams, I don't know if you got to watch it, but I wanted to come back to the game. I don't know, I never did.
He couldn't do it. He wasn't very good at games, so it was too hard for him.
You talked me into coming back to it. I just never got around. Did you ever finish the game?
No, I didn't care.
Yeah, exactly.
I just wanted to get further than you. You stopped right before the first real boss, and I realized that I'm like, all right, I just have to beat this one boss, and I'm better than Chaz. That's all I want to do.
Dude.
I think I know how you ended up in the basement.
You think you're?
I enjoyed Tunic though, for what I played. I know you did too.
You think you're holding that over my head? You can have that title as better Tunic player than ChazmaN. I don't know. But yeah, I thought the game was just okay. What I played. I mean, what about you?
I like Tunic, and I do want to come back. It's just I know it's one of those games I got to spend some time with, and I don't know. I don't have a lot of time right now, unfortunately, but I enjoyed it. I like the art style, and we talked about this before, so go back to episode, 3.2 to get our opinions.
Again, I think my big problem is I went into that game immediately after failing at Elden Ring, and those two experiences back-to-back were just like, not what you want.
Didn't you see there's a mod now for co-op in Elden Ring? I'm not sure if it's only PC. I would imagine it probably is, but... Maybe that's your chance, Chaz. Get some real gamers to help you out.
I'm perfectly fine. I did think it was funny how, like, a lot of people were so happy that they announced they were bringing modding to Elden Ring at some point down the line, and I'm like, so you're okay with them bringing modding, but you're not okay with them having difficulties in the game? You can't have it both. Like, I thought it was just like
you can have it both ways. I take a different stance on this with game difficulties, and we won't go into it here, but just in general,
so why
the developer...
Can you mod difficulties into the game then?
You could, but that's then up to the player. I don't feel like the developer should have to do this. They develop the game for the experience that they want you to have. And they personally like having their game difficult. Now, if they want to then open up so fans can do whatever, that's up to the fans to do. I don't think that should be a requirement for the developer to have to add an easy mode for you.
Tell you what, I'll go back to Elden Ring when I can mod an infinite health bar that never drops down to 0.
Okay, you have to learn how to code first, and I'm not teaching you.
Nope, never. Alright, so we move on to another one. This game's been kind of odd. I know they showed this at a couple events, but it's some sort of like bike riding. I honestly don't know what to expect from this one. I know it's a lady riding it. I don't know. I'm not going to keep going on. I'm not that interested. What about
I skipped this. I saw the start of the trailer. I'm like, nope, this isn't for me, and I just skipped right through.
It's purely aesthetic.
Maybe if she were a cat riding a bike, I would be more into it.
Maybe.
Now, this one just didn't catch me, and I don't know. Maybe I'm a bad person. I didn't give it a chance.
It doesn't rustle my jimmies. Not one bit. So yeah, what was the? I don't even remember. I think it was like a really weird name. It's you get out of here, Yoshida. Season, a letter to the future. I don't know. Pass. And then I guess what was this the last one? Yes, our last announcement was Final Fantasy 16.
Woo!
Is this something you guys have any fondness for?
Yeah. I like most of the Final Fantasy games. I haven't played every single one of them, but I try to play most of the mainline ones. I am in the minority who liked 15. I know it was just like, a boy band traveling on their little adventure together, but I enjoy that. Some brotherly love. I like the combat in 15. I think a lot of people thought it was too neutered, but I like that this looks like an expansion on that.
Well, this game, though, since you liked 15, this game looks like it's definitely going more serious, and it's leaning away from like the kooky boy band type stuff that 15 had going on. Is that something you're interested in? Because this game doesn't look like it has any humor whatsoever. Although
it's probably got very awkward Japanese humor, which I love that. I think what I like about this is it's less of the modern Final Fantasy. Like 15 was very kind of modern day, drive around their souped-up car.
The original the original first handful of games were very much like
medievally
this, right?
fantasy. Yeah. This is very much a harking back to that, or even more of like Final Fantasy 14-ish, which I love 14. So this looks kind of like a middle ground between 14 and 15.
I love 14. 14's good.
And granted, completely different games because 14 MMO, a whole different story. But I'm digging this. It looks like it's gonna be better than 13, which is not saying a whole lot.
Was that lightning? Lightning, whatever.
Yeah.
I remember your buddy, Jeremiah, loved those games. Always seeing him play Lightning or whatever those games were.
Yeah, I just remember I played the first 13. And I played it for a good 10 hours, and apparently I stopped right before it went good. But I still hold, if a game takes 10 hours to get good, it's not really a good game. I don't know, it might have good components to it, but game's got to catch you at some point.
No, fair enough. What did you think? Interesting way to end the show? I mean, I thought it was fine.
Using third parties, that's the best way I think they could have done it.
Yeah. Go ahead, JC.
It looks gorgeous. I think my problem is I don't have the time to sink into something like this, but if someone plays it, I would definitely watch it at my convenience. It looks beautiful.
I think, I'm trying to remember how long 15 took me. I mean, I played a lot of 15. I fished for like 20 hours. But I don't know. But, I mean, you just have to expect that with a Final Fantasy game. You're in it for a while.
Overall, really great show. I think them kind of talking down how much they were going to show really helped with expectations, surprisingly. I mean, I feel like they definitely showed more than Sony said they were supposed to give here. But any other?
And the big thing was Final Fantasy.
Yeah. See, for me, it was Callisto Protocol. That was the only thing I really walked away where I was like, yeah, that's going to get played. And that comes out Christmas time. Get some space horror during the holidays.
Is that what you'd like in your stocking?
Yeah.
Now, is that a PlayStation exclusive, though? That's something to keep in mind,
That's
too.
On both. That's on both.
Yeah, a lot of these games are going to be on both systems. Now, of course, the VR stuff's going to be exclusive to, PlayStation, but you always have to keep that in mind. A lot of these games could be multi-plat, might end up on Game Pass. I
don't know what Final Fantasy is right now. As far as I know, I think it's a
multi-plat,
PlayStation 5.
Right? Is it?
I
could be wrong. I haven't heard that.
The last one launched on PlayStation first.
No. 15 was on both.
Was it?
Because I have the day one edition for Xbox, unless that counts as a different release date. But I'm pretty sure they released the same day. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but 15 was both.
I'll take your word. I don't
That's
remember.
right.
All right, so yeah, once again, I actually thought it was a pretty good event. And let's see, our final topic is something I kind of thought would be super fun.
Wait, hold on. We have to ask. JC, what does your
Okay.
8-ball say about the event?
Which event? The one we just talked about or the next one?
Yeah, then we got to wrap up the one we just were at.
Oh, okay.
Oh, better not tell you now.
You already saw
Okay.
that. I think your
I know,
8-ball's
hold on.
broken.
No, it's just. Let me give it a good shake.
Yeah.
My sources say no.
Oh, well,
I
there's
guess
the
ChazmaN
word to
is
go
not my
by.
source. All right.
All right, so yeah, like I said, we're gonna move on to the Xbox event. But that's on June 12th. So I thought it might be kind of fun. We don't have to take too long with this. We're already kind of way over what we thought we were gonna be. But yeah,
It's JC's fault. She has not been keeping the timer.
I know the timers. I did not do good.
it's all right. But yeah, the final one was just. I thought it'd be fun for us to just kind of go through for the Microsoft and Bethesda event, or Xbox and Bethesda event, and just kind of talk about, I don't know, what we expect. What do you really want to see? I actually came up with a kind of a fun little thing for, well, I didn't know JC was going to be a part of this section, but I kind of came up with, I just wanted each of us to kind of do a little bit of homework, and I thought it might be kind of fun for us to each come up with 3 games that we want to see and 3 games that we need to see at this event. So yeah, was there one you wanted to start off with, Phoenix? You want to start off with need to first or want?
We can do whichever you prefer. It's your show.
I say let's start off with what we need to see, because
Okay.
I feel like that's super important for this Microsoft event, especially due to, if you didn't know, Bethesda pulled 2 of its major titles and pushed them into 2023, which were titles we were expecting to probably see at least one of them. We were expecting to see a handful of something at this event. And if you don't know, those titles were, Starfield and Redfall. Honestly, I was expecting to see some gameplay at this event of Starfield. Like, I feel like that game was supposedly so close to coming out. Wasn't it supposed to launch in... when was it supposed to launch?
In November.
Yeah.
It was in October or November. Here's the thing, though. Just because it was delayed doesn't mean they're not going to show gameplay. In fact, that's what I say they need to do.
I agree.
They need to show Starfield.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the ones I have. Out of everything they could do, that's the only game I feel like I care about Xbox showing right now. I'm sure they have other games in the works, stuff I don't even know about, but they have to show Starfield. With that delay especially, that's already shaken everybody's confidence in the game. There's been some rumors going around, developers saying it's the next Cyberpunk issue, etc., etc. If they don't show some of that game and it looked good now, that's going to hurt them long term.
Mm-hmm. Actually, to add on to that, though, there were a couple other titles I kind of put on just because I thought it would be interesting. But yeah, I agree. Starfield, I feel like with its delay, absolutely something has to be shown. Redfall, not necessarily, because that game, I don't know. I don't feel like that.
Does anybody care about that game?
I don't know if a lot of people care about that game. So I feel like that game.
I bet JC would. It's like a vampire multiplayer.
It's Vampire
game.
Left 4 Dead. It sounds like.
Yeah, and she's all about vampires.
Yeah.
You know, I'm all about lots of things.
No Robert Pattinson vampire, unfortunately. It's just normal vampires. They don't glisten.
Normal vampires.
They don't. There's no glitter.
If there is such a thing as a normal vampire.
I don't know. Is there such a thing? I mean, shoot, I don't know if there is such a thing.
Asking the big questions.
What would you say, Buffy? Baby Buffy vampires? What was that?
I don't know. I didn't like the faces.
I actually like the
Buffy
faces of
vampire.
the Buffy, but I think that's
Did
just
you? You
that's a
would.
nostalgia thing. I think.
Their big brows.
Big
Yeah,
eyebrows.
Neanderthal.
But yeah, I guess
And David Boreanaz just had that anyway.
Shoot, why do I have 2 of these open? Oh no, what did I do? Anyways, I know off the top of my head. Another title I kind of thought. Now this one I brought up just because I know knowing of the delay of the other of Starfield. I feel like a game that could be really cool for them to show would be the game Avowed. I feel like Obsidian has sitting on these couple of games that they're working on, And I don't know. I feel like with Bethesda moving out of the way, it might be a good. Like, see if you can get the Obsidian team to move something forward. You know, I mean, that's another game.
I barely remember them even mentioning Avowed.
Avowed was Obsidian's. They essentially dubbed it Obsidian's like kind of Oblivion, Skyrim. It's their Elder Scrolls game.
And this was before they got bought out by Microsoft, right? So it was kind of like a big, like, in-your-face Bethesda kind of thing. But now they're all under the same roof, right?
No, this is Obsidian. This isn't Bethesda.
Yeah, I know. But this is before Obsidian was bought, like, under the same house. Before they bought Bethesda,
yes,
right? So
yes,
it's kind of like, haha, take that, Bethesda. Because,
yes.
you know, Obsidian and Bethesda have some beef.
Yeah, you're right.
So.
But, I don't know. I feel like it's a type of game that, like, you could satisfy some people. I know it's a game that, like, it's a game I'm really excited for. Anything Elder Scrolls like is something I'm, like, totally down for. And I don't know. I mean,
and is it the game they need to show, is what you're saying?
Yeah. It's just, I mean, I feel like it's maybe not this game, but, like, something Obsidian based. Something that, like, Obsidian has, like, built up such goodwill lately, especially with, like, oh, shoot, what was it? Planet?
Outer Worlds.
Outer Worlds, yeah. I feel like they built up a lot of, like, goodwill with a couple games as of recently, and I don't know, maybe some, like, good competition between them and Bethesda would be super, I don't know. That's just kind of a thought I threw out there. I mean, I don't know if that totally makes sense. I was just thinking of something that, like, would get people hyped, that you can put in that would make some people happy. And that would make me personally at least sort of happy.
That's a good point, yeah.
I guess I'll just throw one other out there. There's two games that are very similar for reasons that I'm going to throw out, but you could kind of input whichever one for your third one. But the game Scorn and the game Atomic Heart. You heard about either of those?
Oh, the names sound familiar, but I can't remember anything about them.
I'll leave out Scorn because that's probably one you're not going to care about. But at least those games are both games that have been in development for like years and years, and they get shown at every single Microsoft event. And it's like, come on, these games need to like that's the thing that's kind of getting annoying about Microsoft as of late, is like they have so many titles that they've shown over years, and like it's like, come on, like a game like Tunic or something. I don't know if you know, but that game Replaced got pushed back as well. I don't know if you ever saw the trailer for that one. Apparently that company or that developer is in Ukraine, so like that's obviously for good reason. Same thing with Stalker 2. Stalker 2 was a Ukrainian-based game developer, so it's like, Microsoft they keep taking the L's on games getting pushed back right now.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people are upset, especially those who are waiting on, the exclusive next Xbox game they have to play. But I mean, I'd rather see them delay the games and come out good. I mean, even if it means, I know it's maybe not the best business decision if they need, a big flagship title to ship, but we've seen far too many times now the games pop out and just not be finished, and they flop because of it. So if it means they need a few extra months to reveal whatever these different teams are working on, I say go for it.
Another one, just to throw it out there real quick, is Hellblade 2. It's about time we get like a date. Like at least throw out a new trailer and throw a date on it for Hellblade. Like that's another game that's been, they've shown it for like 2 or 3 years in a row at events, and it's just like, I think it's time we kind of get the ball rolling on that one. You know what I mean? At least throw dates out. Microsoft has been so cagey lately about putting dates on things, and I guess that's good for expectations, but it's not entertaining.
Here's the thing about putting a date on a game. Like, if they decide, okay, this game is going to come out, I don't know, November 11th, whatever, that begins a marketing push, and they have to start spending a lot of money marketing for that date. And then if the game does get delayed, they've wasted all that money and have to redo all the marketing for a new date. So most companies, unless they're really sure that that's going to hit a certain date, they try not to hit on a date or advertise it, because that's money they're essentially wasting. So if they're not sure a game's going to be ready and they're taking this kind of hold-off approach to wait till the game's in the best possible state, then they probably don't want to commit to a date because they don't want to waste the resources. That'd be my thought.
I agree. But yeah, that's kind of all I had. Anything else you had for? I mean, we've touched on the Microsoft and pushback stuff so often.
What they need.
What they need. I feel like we can cut that one. I mean, it's
Starfield, man.
That. Yeah,
they gotta show Starfield.
I agree. So yeah, we'll move on to, I think, the fun part is and I think
this whole thing's been fun, Chaz.
Oh yeah, I think JC will actually like a few of the suggestions I have for games that I want to see. get shown. So, did you want me to start off with one, or do you want to go with one? Just pick
you
three.
go first.
How about if we choose the same one, we can. I have enough where I can substitute a different suggestion. But actually, my very first thing, and I should say all of my selections are games that are also have either developers that are still in business or still owned by Microsoft. So I chose like realistic, suggestions that Microsoft
Could happen.
Could happen. And my very first one that I don't know why it hasn't happened yet, Fusion Frenzy 3. Where is Fusion Frenzy 3? Microsoft doesn't have its own like party game. All these other companies have like their own major party games. Microsoft is sitting on like, I don't want to say a gold mine because that wasn't a huge title, but like I remember people like us used to love playing Fusion Frenzy 1 and 2. Like,
I never played it that much.
Really? I used to play it a lot, but I don't know, maybe that was just me.
That was just OG Xbox. It never came out on 360, right? That was, what was it?
It was
no,
on
they had
360.
A 360.
Yep.
Oh, they did?
In the very early
Oh, man.
years. Yeah.
I probably played it. I know I'm sure I have it on my shelf somewhere. I didn't play much of it. Plus, the party games for me, like, everything was going to be overshadowed by Mario Party. So
that's fair enough. I just feel like that's a box that Microsoft can check. They don't have any, like, really, like, super mega party game or something to draw in the kids. What I don't know. I feel like that's something that they could very much do.
It's not a kids box. That's for Nintendo. Right? It's the big boy box.
The big boy, that's why it's X.
The American Tendo. What was it?
American Nintendo. From Stranger Things, they were trying to get the
that's
American
right. I was
Nintendo.
wondering where you guys got that from. I'm like, that sounds familiar.
American Tendo.
But yeah, there goes my first one, Phoenix. How about you? Is there another game you want to see that makes sense, preferably?
Yeah, and this is one I know is in development, but I just really want to see it. Whatever the next Fable is.
Okay.
I really like 2. That's probably my favorite one. 3, a little less so, but still really enjoyed it. And then they had all their side flop kind of ones they threw out. They had one for the Kinect and something else, but I don't know. I like Fable. I know it's gonna be odd because it wouldn't have Molyneux in it because yeah, he's on a whole different thing now. So maybe that will change the feel of it. But I don't know. I miss those games. I had good memories of them, so I'd like to see a new one pop up.
That's fair enough. Did JC ever like Fable? I don't know if that was...
I played it a little bit. Well, actually, maybe I played it a lot. I can't remember. I remember being mad because I chose a lady character, and when she got really strong, she was like a dude with a ponytail. I'm like, this is not how I wanted to play this. That was my big take. I played it, but that was my big takeaway, that my chick got big and buff. I
know a lot of people were very indifferent on... Some people were indifferent on those games because of the very British humor. I always like British humor. I mean, I've never, it's definitely a different flavor sometimes. I mean, I like it. I like Monty Python, Mike Myers.
Yeah.
British humor.
Very kind of on the nose, slapsticky, kind of over exaggerated sometimes, yeah.
The farting became a bit much in Fable 3, but just run around farting on the townsfolk. I agree.
Good time.
That's one I'm definitely looking forward to. So I'll bring up another one just for JC. I don't know if Phoenix had this one, but I think it's about time to see a new Viva Pinata game.
Mm-hmm. That was my third one.
That was your third one? Okay. I think that's another type. That's another type of game where I feel like, why not? You're sitting on all of these old IPs. It's like make a. I don't want to say how hard it is to make a Viva Pinata game, but like, that's something that would be kind of fun. Like it would bring in some of the... I think that's probably a little bit more Nintendo-y, right, in terms of style?
Yeah. I'll tell you, that would sell really well, because especially now that everybody got into Animal Crossing over the past couple of years, like this is on that same kind of Pokemon-y, Animal Crossing-y.
What's that garden game? The one that's big? It's the big one on Switch. Stardew Valley, yeah, very kind of a little bit like that.
Yeah, I don't know if this is really Stardew-y.
No? Okay.
No. I don't think it's quite, but it's like that same kind of calming game where, it's casual, it's not stressful, but you have a task to complete and it's relaxing.
And it's a game that, like, does have a presence. There are, like, Microsoft fans that know of Viva Pinata, so I feel like that's one that, like, again, like Fusion Frenzy.
Pinata, filled with fun.
I just mean that's
they
a
had
game.
a whole TV show.
It's a game that has a name. So, like, I don't know why Microsoft just doesn't sometimes do anything. I mean, I get why game making's hard. I don't know, but
Well, I don't know. They've had different focuses. Like they've been trying to buy up companies and let them create what they want to create. They want to create new IPs. I think is part of it. And like Viva Pinata was never like a top seller for them, so it probably isn't like a priority. But who's to say it's not in the works at maybe a subsidiary? It was a Rare game, wasn't it?
It was. They came out in that big pack, the big Rare.
That's right. Rare Replay is what it was.
Well, Rare's been busy with that Everwild game for like years now, so who knows?
Yeah, that could be part of it too. If they want to keep it in the Rare kind of umbrella, then if they're busy, it's just not time for them to work on it. Maybe they'll pass it off.
Sea of Thieves, and now they've been working on Everwild ever since then. And I know that game.
Was it Rare that did the Grounded? Was that Rare too?
No, that's Obsidian.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, I know Rare's busy with Everwild, so it could be a while before they start working on something. But yeah, like I
agree.
said, that was
like
for
to see
JC. I know
Pinata.
JC liked what was it, Trouble in Paradise and the first game. So, all right. So, what was your second one? One you want to see?
My second one, I guess, is my last one because Viva Pinata was my third one. I would like to see a Halo 3 remaster, like how they did the Halo 2 big update with fancy new graphics and all that. I'd like to see them do it to 3. Like at the time when 2 came out, or the remake for 2, 3 wasn't too dated by today's standards, though. It is, I think, graphic-wise, and that's my favorite Halo. And I know there's a large, community out there that will probably agree Halo 3 is probably their favorite. So I'd love to see them redo that from top to bottom.
I'm more of a Halo 2 guy, but I agree Halo 3 is like, in terms of favorite Halos, it's like those 3. 1, 2, 3. Those
Best campaign was 3, and I really think the multiplayer is better in 3. Like I think a lot of people just had a lot of nostalgia for 2 because that was like the most hyped game ever at the time. But 3, I think, was just the better game. So I'd like to see them revisit that, give the graphical overhaul they did for 2. I don't know. I know that they probably won't, only because it's still in the Master Chief Collection. So it's still in rotation. Multiplayer is already baked into that. And assuming that 343 would be the ones that do it, they've got their hands full with Infinite for quite a while. But still, I'd like to see that happen.
I agree. That might be kind of cool. I mean, Microsoft, they're not like remaster. Like I noticed, I don't know, I think about it, they don't really do that, like remasters all that often of any of their games. Like, you don't see them.
Which, in general, I think is good. Like, I don't need them to grab every old game and remaster. And sometimes, like, we've seen a lot of remasters.
Jade Empire remastered or something, you know what I mean?
And that might be fine, but I've seen a lot of remasters lately that really didn't need it. What was it? Reckoning, Kingdoms of Amalur or whatever. Like, that game wasn't old enough to even need a remaster, so I feel like sometimes they're reaching.
I love the original version of that game, but it was fugly. Like,
that
was not a good looking game.
Have you played the remaster? I heard the remaster
remaster
wasn't really any better, but
really?
I don't know.
I haven't played it now.
I could be wrong.
So what I'll tell you what I do. I'll come up with my third, and then I'll let you select out of my whatever remaining. See if any of them tantalize you at all or whatnot. Because
you picked more than 3?
Oh yeah, I've like.
You said I only was supposed to pick 3.
Well, I picked.
Have a backup, I guess.
Well, I said I picked more because I didn't know if you did the homework or not. So I said I picked out like 6 or 7.
He was going to carry you. He was going to carry you.
But yeah, also I'll come. Let me see. Let me pick one more for my third. I'll say just because I actually really enjoyed the first and second game, I will say one I really want to see that I don't think I'd ever see it, but like I would love to see a Prototype 3. I know you didn't like Prototypes.
I liked the first. Well, I don't know if I never played the second one, so I'm probably just out of the loop. The first one I thought was fine.
I didn't play the second one either.
The first one was just too similar to some other games that there was fine, but I feel like...
It was like Hulk on Ultimate Destruction.
It was like Hulk mixed with... There was a Spider-Man game at the time that was kind of like that. I think it was Web of Shadows that felt really similar. So it just felt kind of like, I've played and seen this before. I don't know, the character wasn't that engaging. And 2, I know, was a whole different character.
That's interesting.
So
that wasn't one I thought you were going to push back on. That's interesting.
Devil's advocate right here.
I really liked Prototype. I feel like that type of game might be cool by, like, maybe if they chose a new developer or somebody to come up with that idea. It might be cool to, like, that just might be, like, a cool game to, like, revisionize, you know what I mean? To, like, maybe have... Or I don't know if that's a word. Re-envision. I don't know.
Making up a whole new index over here, Chaz. It's okay.
Homageness. So yeah, I guess just for your third, I'll let you name off. Let me know if any of these 4 might be interesting. A new Ninja Gaiden game. No, I just because I always like this game. Dark Summit 2. Do you remember Dark Summit?
I remember it. I never played it. Yeah.
No.
I'd rather see a new SSX opposed to a
of
Dark
course.
Summit.
Who wouldn't rather have an SSX?
Tricky 2.
No. You might like this one, Overlord 3.
I would like to see an Overlord.
For the master, for you.
That's one of the games too that like Viva Pinata was kind of a relaxing game to me, like the Lemming style kind of games, a little puzzly, a little just I'd be down for that.
Okay, so there's one, and then my last one I had was Rise, Son of Rome 2. I actually really enjoyed the first one. Yeah, it was a really good game. But yeah, so
I don't think I played it. I watched a playthrough of it and
I really
wasn't overly impressed. But okay,
that's cool though. So there's at least one in there you kind of liked. Overlord. I figured Overlord might be one you might rather see a third one.
Yeah, I was down for that.
All right, but so was there anything else about this event? I mean, are we really expecting all that much now that we know those two games are pushed back? I mean, how much
honestly,
else could they show?
I think we're going to be surprised because you got to think about this. Microsoft has been pretty tight-lipped, but over the past 3 years or so, they've been just buying up developer after developer after developer. And I know like nothing's been said, and yes, COVID or the word, I'm sorry, COVID, the whatever. I know that impacted development a lot, but I think it's about time to start hearing about some of these new IPs. Maybe not being released this year, probably 2023 slated stuff, but I bet there's a handful of games that we have no idea about from these new purchases or developers they have out there that they're going to start dropping during this event. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. A lot of surprises.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm just trying to think of I've kind of named off everything I think I will see. I mean, I'm sure there's more. I mean, do you think Microsoft at any point would try anything new? Are they? I think they've said they're not planning anything VR related. They showed off the AR stuff years ago. Are they ever going to bring back AR?
Oh, no, I don't think we're going to see that kind of stuff. I mean, when you say new, I think we're going to see new IP from some of these developers they bought. I'm hoping they learn their lesson with the Kinect, and I was actually a proponent for the Kinect. I liked it, but whenever they do a peripheral, that's when they start losing people because they shift their focus away from games, and they need to stay on games. In other words, you're going to go back between the Sony Xbox conflict from 2013. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of hardware or anything like that. I'm thinking it's going to be all games, hopefully some new IPs, and of course some, Starfield stuff, hopefully. But that's what I'm expecting and hoping for.
And I know a lot of people have been making some arguments. Oh, well, we're getting close already. Is there going to be a Series X 2.0 or PlayStation 5 Pro? And I'm like, it's kind of
I think
early.
that would be such a bad idea.
People don't even have the regular PS5s. Why would you come up with a Pro?
Here's the thing, it's technically not early if you base it off the old release schedules from the old consoles.
I don't think it's time for that at all.
Well, no, what I'm saying is technically it's not early.
Oh.
If you base it off of when the PS4 and Xbox One came out, about 2.5 years into it, they started taking, okay, here's the Xbox S, here's the PS4 Pro. They start going that direction.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I could already tell someone's gonna over on JC while we're talking during one of these, someone's gonna throw a speech bubble above her head or something of her thinking about something else. I don't know.
You can have fun with editing that.
No.
But I guess my point is what was my point? You messed me up.
You said about the time frame with coming up with a
so it's not that it's technically too early, and I'm sure when they were developing these consoles, they were probably on that same kind of time frame. After about 2 or 3 years ago, when you think about a revamp, nobody expected the shortages though. So that's where I think it feels too early. These consoles are getting close to 2 years old now. I mean, it's not like these are brand new consoles. They're just so hard to find that they feel like brand new consoles.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I agree. I don't think they should be doing pros, but it depends on how much they already have in the pipeline. There's all these posts right now for people working on new chips and stuff. So
I honestly would be peeved at this point if they announced a PlayStation 5 Pro when I can't get my hands on a normal PlayStation 5. I would be like...
I think it will make people mad who got the PS5. They finally got it. Some guy just fought for 6 months online to finally get one or paid scalping prices for it, and now a Pro drops. I think consumers will be pretty irate. So I hope they're not.
It's just difficult, man. I work pretty much 8 to 5 Monday through Friday, and it's I'm so busy at work. I just don't have time to really be on my phone that often. So
it's hard.
I miss all these deals like almost immediately, and it's just like.
Well, like I try when I got my first my PS5, I had to for like 3 weeks read up on how to actually buy from certain retailers. Like this whole process, and it would change every couple of weeks. I had to watch a live streamer for like an hour every morning while he was watching it go live, and I still missed it the first like 2 or 3 times. It's a process and it's discouraging. So it's a lot of luck too.
We're talking PlayStation while we were on an Xbox topic. How dare
we're talking new consoles. I mean,
that was good.
I had a much easier time, honestly, getting the Xbox because GameStop had a live, drop. I could just wait in line. I was like the first one in line. No. So, yeah.
All right, I'm done. Well, yeah, I was just gonna say we're not approaching our longest episode, but we're getting close. Good job, JC, on the timer there.
Mm-hmm.
But
next time I'll be more prepared.
Oh, next time. But I guess we'll definitely be back. We'll touch on this Xbox subject again once the show happens. I think Phoenix said he was going to try and make it back to try and stream it. Maybe do like a dual stream of it of some sort. You said you wanted to do?
I don't know. Maybe.
Or something? It's 1 p.m. on a Sunday.
Say it again?
It's 1 p.m. on a Sunday. So I don't know.
You said 1 p.m.?
Yeah.
5. No, 1 or 5.
It's 1 p.m. Eastern time on the 12th.
Oh.
Yes.
We'll see. Sundays are tricky.
Either way, I'm at least gonna be doing it, and I'll have everything set up. And if you're able to join in, we'll figure it out.
Worst case scenario, I'll be in the chat making fun of you. So
nice. So JC, can we expect you to be back for talking some of the episodes as we continue on with these shows?
Yep, I'm the movie buff. That's what I want to talk about.
Well, at least
we need some class for our
discussion. Cat games where I can play as a cat.
In VR, preferably.
In VR.
Maybe in the cat game, you could do like create your own character, and you could create your own cat, put your own cat in there.
Miss Kitty Fantastico. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying.
Yeah. But yeah, so, I guess now that I think about it, we're not going to be talking Stranger Things till July. Because I think the beginning of July is when those few episodes, so I guess you'll be joining us for Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
It sucks, though, because, like, the timing of those episodes were, like, I guess we'll have to just talk about a single episode if we're recording on Thursdays, because they come out Fridays, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be talking about one, well, I'm sure we
can. Let's just do the podcast on Fridays.
We can do that. If you guys wanted to.
We'll figure it out.
I just
don't have to decide tonight. It's too late.
Oh, alright. Well, guys, so is that everything? Is there anything else you guys wanted to kind of throw on there today?
Nope. I'm done. I'm tired.
Alright, guys. Well, I guess, this was a fun one. I definitely look forward to the next one we're going to do. I guess just anything real quick. Are you looking to play anything new, Phoenix? You don't have to say what, but...
I'll probably play a little more of Immortal. Just start getting a feel for that.
Yeah, maybe
you can try and catch up to me, but you never will.
I'm not going to bother. She's going to cheat anyway.
I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to try. I already know. I won't even get to kill an enemy for like the first 30 minutes because she'll just run straight ahead and...
Oh, no. I'll create a brand new character. We'll do a whole raid. I'm very excited.
Do they have
when you create your character, we're in the end of days server. Oh, okay. FYI.
Is it the same character sets from the previous game? Like it's
most of them.
The necromancer.
We're missing the witch doctor.
Mm.
No witch doctor.
Okay.
Ting ting walla walla bing bang.
All right, guys. Well, I guess I just want to say thank you so much for joining JC and Phoenix. You guys were super awesome. I can't wait to have you guys back on. Or I guess I don't know. I sound like I'm like the only host. Me and Phoenix are the co-hosts, I should say.
Oh, this is your show. I just like to give you a terrible time when you enter ChazmaN. Your name's in it for now until I change the logo.
All right. Well, I guess I should send you back into the basement for now. No. We'll let you back out. Friday nights now for a little bit of time.
Sounds good.
So we can watch Obi-Wan.
That's the only time. That's the only time you come out of that basement. All right, guys. Well, yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you. We can't wait to see you again. And we'll do it again. One more. And another one. Alright guys, adios. Night night.
Bye.
Bye.